I don't even know what queer means, because you have a different definition. I'm sure you have one, and I'm sure you have one, and I'm sure you have one.
2022, baby. You better look up what queer means. It's often used off the
So you guys, so
line.
hold on.
Hey. Why that treat us up? Oh,
Step forward if you agree with the prompt.
interesting.
It is important that parents honor their children's boundaries.
I agree. But not in the sense of, well, I don't know, whatever. Yeah,
I like
agree.
the phrase, boundaries breed intimacy. If you don't have that respect, mutual respect for one another, how can I be open with you as a child? There's that lack of trust if you're not respecting boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
It's also important because each kid is different, and I have a brother, and boundaries that work for me don't work for him. And so my parents parent both of us according to what we need, and that involves having different boundaries.
And like, to honor your child's boundaries does not mean at your boundaries there's a deficit at my boundaries. Like my kid.
Let's have a little pause on that. I hate this over stereotypical there is battle axe.
So they're on the man, eh?
Who's that?
Battle axe, you're saying good.
No. How did those perpetrators say that they had to be this hard, rough, and whatever? That I find that real cringe, though. Carry on.
Kid is not going to be cussing me out, telling me what he's not going to do. It's none of that. I can respect my child, and I have a 14-year-old son.
Like, who are you trying to be?
He respects me. I've never had any issues with rebellion or, I guess, disrespect in that way, because we communicate about everything now.
Marion?
And, you know, there is a line, of course, that you don't want to cross, you know, especially when it comes to the safety of the child.
It is 100% safety, and it just means you respect their emotions as a human. It doesn't mean you let your kid do whatever you want. I think that's a common misconception.
Can the disagreeers step forward?
I would like it if the prompt was worded almost a little bit differently, because it puts importance on my kids' boundaries, where I think as a parent, we set those boundaries. But I like what you said, where you said that just because boundaries are set doesn't give you know, your child.
You never watch any Fast and Furious movies? What's wrong with you?
Well, I set these boundaries up, and that's my boundary.
It seems like people are equating boundaries with emotions, and I would not do that. I would say that their emotions are different from the boundaries that we as parents should be setting for them, because I don't know about you, but when I was a child, I broke every boundary that my parents set for me, and they were there for specific reasons, to keep me safe. So if we just allow our children to have no boundaries, or we allow them to set the standard for the boundaries, I think that they're just not emotionally, to bring that word back, capable of doing that and keeping themselves safe. I think that's our job as parents.
Yeah, I think too, going off of that, that the relationship you have with a parent is very contingent on the child knowing that the parent has your best interest at heart. And like you said, there were many times in my childhood that I wanted to do something and I didn't have the same boundary that my parents did. Maybe I didn't have all the information. They had my best interest at heart. And I think that that's important for the parent-child relationship.
Can I throw in a follow-up question? Let's redirect and think about boundaries too as autonomy. Okay, go.
Encompassing what, though?
Gen Z
As an
is
example,
defined as
a little
1990s
kid doesn't feel comfortable
to early
hugging a family
2010s.
member, you must hug them
So
anyway.
it
That's
doesn't
your
have to
uncle,
be a
hug them,
teenager.
and they're trying to tell you.
No, but the Mark
absolutely
teens
not.
in the
I was
prompt.
actually about to talk on that. I think it's less about the child setting the boundary with the parent. I think parents should definitely like have the final say in terms of those boundaries, but I think it's more about fostering conversation with the children that you are an individual, you do have autonomy. Just for this phase of your life, I will take the lead as a parent, but instilling in the child that you are your own person and you're not just an extension of me.
I have
That's
a
fair.
6-year-old, a 2-year-old, and 11-month-old son. So there is no boundaries, because you can't have boundaries if there's no foundation and order. You know, so for me, what I strive to do is to, with my 6-year-old, is just give her lots of words of affirmation and be the lead in everything we do. You know, she rides horses, we go out to the range, she shoots guns. A lot of the structure and foundation that we're planning is, you know, in the outdoor world. It's not based off social media, tablets, cell phones, and reality TV shows. But if I'm just saying, well, you know, well, I'm gonna wait until she tells me what her boundaries are, I'm gonna wait and see how she feels. Well, that's not a parent. That's a friend.
But isn't that what happens? The parents set the precedent. This is the
Right.
law. This is
Right.
the rules and regulations. It's the foundation, whether it's Christianity, whether it's whatever that you believe in your household. And then you do have your autonomy as a child, and you do start challenging your parent because your ideas and their ideas might not align just the same way anymore. And that
Well,
is when the kid
absolutely.
has a. So if your daughter, let's say, said, you know what, Daddy, I don't want to wear these clothes no more. I don't want to wear this pink dress. I don't want to wear these frills. I don't want to dress like a
There we
girl.
go.
I want to cut my hair off. What would you say?
That wouldn't be up to
No.
me. That would be up to our mother.
Okay, what would you guys say? I would imagine that together you guys make that
Good
decision.
answer.
Well, you know, in all honesty, I do work. I have a career and stuff, but I'm a stay-at-home father at the same time. So I'm the one who dresses. I'm the one who does the hair.
Sure.
But at the same time, it would be up to her mom to decide, okay, well, how can we go about this? And also, if she's having these feelings, we're gonna stop for a second, not just hop on it and say, okay, well, she says that
The
she
fuck
wants
did
to
this
dress like a
happen?
boy now, or she says she wants to do this now. Well, let's see where it's coming from. Because obviously, if she's not
Okay.
seeing it in our home, then she saw it from somewhere.
That's not true. I was 5 years old when I told my mom, I do not want to wear this pink dress. And my parents are pastors, are Christian, and I was adopted in Michigan, Grand
I
Rapids,
don't think that
Michigan.
really has
I'm just
anything to do
saying
with it,
all
though.
these things. I was the only black child in my entire school district.
Yeah,
We were in the
but-
paper for bringing multiculturalism to the school district. So I didn't see any tomboys. I didn't see no gay folk. I didn't see nothing. What my point is, I had a call, I guess you would say a calling of autonomy for who I am. And I'm unapologetic for it because I always follow that as a 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old. And thankfully, I had two parents that might not have understood.
Because I can't remember what happened when
But
I
did
was 6 years
fortify me
old.
to be myself and never forced me to wear the clothes that I didn't want to wear. My thing is, absolutely give a strong foundation for your children.
We
That's
had
your
more hair on
right.
your head.
You wouldn't have brought children in this world to not do that. But you got to be a listener. If your child is saying something that kind of is like, wait, where is this coming from?
Oh, absolutely.
It might not be
Absolutely.
coming from social media or TV. It might be coming from their heart and their authenticity
Well,
of
absolutely.
themselves.
Well, that's also our job as parents to search their heart. You know, just because a child
Is
says
it?
absolutely.
To search your
Yes.
child's heart?
Absolutely. To
Or to
search
accept your
child's
child
heart.
who they are?
Search your child's
No.
heart. I don't think we're
Yeah, that's
actually.
Because if you don't make sure, like, all right, so you want to dress as a boy, okay, cool. Now we figure this out. Like, if it's just a phase that you're going through, a
Or that
passing phase, or this is the actual thing. So you had to look into it. You have to look into it. You can't just say, well, okay, look at dress. Not look at dress, sorry, look at jeans and some a tricot, cargo pants, and a big t-shirt and a gold chain and a gold chain, a durag and a gun, and yeah, you went. You gotta make sure.
Because the same girl you was watching me for Brett, right? There's the exact same thing she said, where she said she grew up a tomboy, right? And she did start to have an issue with she mother when they was traveling. Some so she say, right? And the mother say, no, what she says mother tells she we have no problem with that, you know. We gotta understand where it's coming from. Right? Because she could say what she was the mother said it could be a phase or it could be your reality, right? Like basically the thing she said. And the mother went and tell she have no issue playing with the because she always wanted to go on rough and tumble with the boys and thing. But when she gets she realization and then she realized the boys are a little too rough. And she wasn't strong enough to keep up with them for the most part. And now she like, okay, I realize that still a female at the end of the day.
So she was misled by the patriarchy.
I'm kind of thing.
She was misled by the patriarchy. Because
go with that.
if boys were supposed to not be that rough and allow her to exist in their games and in their rough and tumble, they needed to come down to her level for her to exist in this thing. What are you talking about? The patriarchy at the high echelons of the discussion. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about. I just use them fancy words and buzzwords and shit. It's on good.
In a conversation to even be talking about dressing or how your kid feels about their gender
At
identity.
6 years old, you can't. Your child
We're
can't
talking
decide.
about boundaries. We're not talking about
We're talking
sexual
about autonomy.
orientation with
No,
children.
we're talking about autonomy, and autonomy
Yeah, but
would
you
be how you
shouldn't.
dress.
You shouldn't
shouldn't
accept your child for everything that
everything
they
they
think. Like
say.
I
Why
used to dress
not?
up and
Yes.
like think I was a pirate, but my parents didn't cut off my arm and attach a hook. Like not
That's
everything you should
so
dress up.
different.
No, it's not different.
Point. Good point. I like it.
It's not
Real good
different.
point. It's not different at all. That's the exact same thing. That is
It
the
is not
exact
different.
same
Don't,
thing.
don't try to move it when it's not aligning with you. Don't try to move it. It's the exact same thing.
That is failure. That is failure.
All right. This is a weird thing, but I embarrassed myself for this. When I was younger.
I don't know why you just shave off that mustache. You know? Let's go ball now, bro. You look so much better. Anyway, go ahead. Pause.
Oh God. So, all right. When I was, I don't know the age. I don't know them to remember age. But when I was small, I remember playing Mega Man. And I was addicted to Mega Man. That I used to like take them big PVC with like runoff and thing.
Yeah, stick your
And
hand
pretend
in
that, yeah.
and run out. Yeah, I used to do that. I used to do that.
And then the cartoon as well. Besides the game, the cartoons. I used to think my dog is Rush in him.
Yeah.
Right. I used to think my dog was that. How many dog used to be going all over.
And then your parents broke your heart because they told you Mega Man the real, as well as Santa. And you took Fairy and the Easter Bunny, and he was traumatized for the rest of your life. Patriarchy again.
Actually, my parents never tell me about these things. I just like put two and together and say, this isn't making any sense.
Yeah, and the Muppets not real.
You what?
The what?
The WAP is not real?
Muppets are not real.
The Muppets?
How
Not
dare
real?
you? How dare you?
Hey. I grew up on that. But tell you something here.
So what
That
did
is one of the
I
best parts of my childhood. How dare you tell me the Muppets not real? Next thing every time, oh, they're not real. They have a hand stick up their butt and it making them move. Like, why you like this?
Why you think they had a debate with Ernie and Bert being a gay couple?
They're not?
No, they're just
My
good
life
friends.
is a lie. My life
They
is
got
a lie.
nothing below the waist down. They just had torso with fans.
That's the patriarchy.
They even...
And even here they try to charge Bert with being part of Bin Laden just because he had been in a picture.
What the fuck?
That's an old one. That's a funny one.
And next embarrassing thing, anybody ever tried to jump out of a garbage or bag to pretend it's a parachute?
Yeah,
Yeah. You're not unique in a senpai.
No, I'm just making sure, right? Because what's the ask? I'm just making sure because with this, the same parents thing, right?
Mana, tell them no, we never did, so you wouldn't feel validated.
So I keep telling them I'm going to jump over the bar, right? I tell them no, that's not realistic. And I keep repeating it, I'm going to do it until they're like, yo, go ahead and do it.
Wow. Now you're blaming your parents for your bad brought up, see.
So I went and jumped. I almost died. And my father watched me. Hey, just shake his head, you see.
And I watch it too.
How high did you jump from?
I so happy. People say I so happy using neighbor son, eh?
From the top of the house. Well, not like the roof, but from the top stairs to the bottom. So it's like it wasn't, I don't think that high, but when you're that small, it was like nearly 8 feet.
Nah, that is plenty horse. Holy shit. What are
Why,
you doing?
When you're that small, you don't feel injuries. As you get older and your bones fuse there, you sort of feel.
That man watch me like. My little lesson that the parents was right. My parents was absolutely right. So I don't know what you're trying to. This one trying to
Unless you have your own experiences, so you're trying to invalidate it.
Mean saying no. But
You
she's saying that she basically saying that don't set no boundaries for your children. They could do what they want. That's what she think that she tried to say. No, they have to do what they want. No, yeah. First of all, they in a state of confusion and stuff like that, so they know as much as an adult. Adult would know. I know now, if adult ages, that going and jump outside with a bag is not going to slow me down.
It's fun to attempt though.
Yeah, it was fun though. So now I know, but then no back then.
A lot of things with science, sometimes people have to do self-experimentation for the work. Like when Ben Franklin fly a kite in a thunderstorm. You get shook, but you learn.
Hey, life is all about learning.
So no boundaries then. You agree with them, so no boundaries, because you have to go there and learn. If you have boundaries, you can't learn properly.
No.
All right.
The saying is certainly right. Is about on any boundary. Oh no, forget that. It's about the set a boundary. What the man was saying, you set a boundary. They was telling me don't do it, right? And I never learned it the hard way. I could have just say, hey boy, they're probably right. That's it. I had basically had two options. Go ahead and do it, or agree that what I was saying is a fact, because them probably do it already. And you see results happen. But I didn't want to hear that. I want to do it.
Did you do it twice?
You like pretty video?
Fine. No, but it's
not.
What I'm saying is, you don't accept everything simply because they say it. Like
self-mutilation and accepting your daughter for being gay is a little bit not apples to apples,
hyperbole,
my
of course,
friend.
but my point is
that
you don't just blindly accept for anything. You do accept them for some things, but it's not just blind.
But
they
let's
said
talk
it,
about
and therefore we should accept
being
them
young
for what
then
they
used to
said.
do things.
It's not
by watching a
necessarily
video.
accepting, it's more of letting them explore. It's more of them giving them an option to find themselves. I have
think
twins.
that's reckless.
I have twins, and twin girls, and they're 5 now. And at 2.5, one of them didn't want to wear dresses anymore. She was like,
because
adamant about it at 2.5, and I'm like, whoa, this is power.
Are these people retarded? Sorry to say. But a 2-year-old.
But in order to support themselves, right? They need to, have these things happen. So, in order for their livelihood to exist, they must enable the livelihood of other things.
True.
I just say now, Peter, I don't know how true that is. Don't quote me on that. Don't put me on Twitter, please. Thanks.
What?
Views expressed on this live stream is not necessarily the views of Spawn Point Discord server, and it's totally the views of Demon Senpai, the live streamer who's on Twitch now. Sponsors, feel free to withdraw.
Oh gosh, I forget what I was gonna say. Yeah, for example, my niece, right? When she was that age,
she give you consent to talk about this?
What's that noise? I ain't saying no name, nobody know who she is.
But she says you're just.
And I have multiple nieces.
What am I supposed to do with this information? What am I to do with this information?
I don't know who I'm talking about. Right? So when she was that age, that child refused to basically say wear dresses. Couldn't put a dress on that child. And she's what? I don't know how old she is now, but she wears dresses now. She just didn't like clothes, apparently. Plenty of children act that way. Fight, threaten for whatever reason. I don't necessarily have to be what he's saying. He done, as you say, he done thing that right. She like girls or whatever. Like he done let go for that already. Not actually being a parent and hey, fine. As the man, the black man saying,
which black man?
Someone want black people here?
Are you blind?
Okay.
Oh
my god, I didn't catch that one. Oh gosh, no, I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, they explore. Hey, why I cannot wait? You're a parent, you gotta find out because they they're in a learning stage. To both parent and child in learning stages, being parent, being child, and stuff like that. So I don't see wanting to find out why. It could be a phase, it couldn't be. It don't have to be a phase. So whatever with them.
Powerful, and we went with it.
I was going to say something and then
wanted
I
her
start
to
back on it.
explore that.
Go ahead.
Imagine a 2-year-old fighting up because they don't want to pawn this to police. And you're like, all right, well, go to be bare feet for the rest of your life. And you just allow it to happen. Just like it. But then again, as the black dude say, yeah, like self-mutilation is different from what she's saying. I mean, come on. You're not gonna lay a child around without slippers.
Yeah. Some things you have to put in place because you don't understand. It obviously is a health risk. That's one thing. Obviously is a health risk.
Wanting to wear dresses, not wanting to wear dresses is a health risk.
You talking about shoes? I mean clothes. A child.
A child not wanting to wear the respective gender's clothing is a health risk. That's what you say.
I'm talking about the slippers.
No, you hear how he backtracking now, Twitch. You hear how he backtracking now? Catch him and wrap him up and string him up.
I was talking. You bring out the slippers, like going on
First time? First time?
Whatever, yes. There's still many video and battery almost dead here. I don't fix that charger in the morning.
What battery?
Laptop. This is man. No, this is Mrs. man. Take the charger. The charger is a charger I fix back. And she come and take it and it is out the charger.
And if you're sorry, you could have been playing the video.
You ask.
Yeah, move the goalpost too.
We wanted to make sure that she felt comfortable in her own skin on what she was wearing. And I didn't want to put that on her and make sure that, she has this femininity that maybe she doesn't feel like she has. That's not saying that she's gay or she's lesbian or anything. She just doesn't like dresses.
I would agree
and
with you.
To this day, she's 5 and she still doesn't wear dresses.
And she might like dresses in a couple of years. She might change her mind and actually like dresses.
Yeah.
And that's her choice.
I have a question. It's personal to you because I don't know if I heard
I'm
correctly.
talking about
You
is a
said you
variant.
were adopted?
I was.
Okay, you had adopted parents. Do you think
They're
that...
the only parents I recognize as my parents, but I was adopted.
Do you think that their willingness to be, let's just use the word liberal in acceptance and you wanting to do the things that you do is because they're your adopted parents and maybe that they felt this obligation that they want to be closer to you?
Absolutely not. I'm the only one adopted in my family, and my mom and dad actually do not believe in my lifestyle, and they're unapologetic for that, and I respect it because everybody has to believe in what they believe in. So even though they don't believe that my lifestyle is necessarily of God or of their faith, we can still come to terms and love each other and be with each other because I'm not my thoughts and my parents aren't their thoughts either. We're bigger than that, and they have the right to believe what they believe.
So you on that note, move on to the next prompt.
Yeah, shut up.
It's best for a child to have a mother and a father.
Obviously, let me go see. What? Oh, Marianne coming forward. Hey, yo.
Because she was adopted us. She was adopted.
I thought about that one for a second.
I did. I had to think about that for a second.
Well, I mean, I think it's kind of obvious, right, for a plethora of reasons. But I think the ordered way is, a mother and a father for two different people that have two different.
Hey, I know that funny way in there.
We all know mothers are just inherently better at nurturing. They provide life, they give life, and I think both of those two distinct roles are absolutely important and integral to child development, I think.
Yeah, I can speak to my own experience. I had 2 parents in the home, very loving, and it was really vital to have a masculine figure and also a feminine figure. I think if you have too much of either, that can affect you in negative ways as a kid. The problem that I have with the same-sex parenting is that when you have a same-sex couple that has a child, they're necessarily depriving that child of a mother and a father, and they're excluding a parent in one of those important roles from the child. And
Video
we
soft for
have
you?
a lot of data on this. Social
That's
scientists
so-
have tons of
I think
studies and
that was
research
so far a little bit.
about this of decades.
But when I had said to
That
don't matter.
non-biological parents are more transitory than biological parents. That when a child
Where's
loses
non-biological
a parent,
parents?
that there's a lot of trauma involved.
Wait, what? What you say?
and this of
What is a
decades.
non-biological?
That non-biological parents are more transitory than
Adoptive.
biological parents. That when a child
Oh,
loses
shit. I was
a
thinking
parent,
like
that there's a lot of
robots
trauma
now, boy.
involved. And so I think it's important to realize that sexes are different
Wow.
and children need models for both of those things. And it isn't to say that homosexuals can't love and commit. And it's also not to say that heterosexuals can't be bad parents. I think we know that as well. But it is to say that we shouldn't set up a system in which children are intentionally put in homes that are fatherless or motherless. That isn't fair to the child. I feel like same-sex parents adopting are thrusting the child into their lifestyle instead of realizing and asking the better question,
straight
which is
parents,
what
let's do
is
it
best
too.
for that child. And I hear the side that we will be good parents, but no man can be a mother and no woman can be a father. And even if you are the best same-sex couple in the world, you still are necessarily denying that child a parent. And I believe that children have rights, and that the most important right is a right to a mother and a father, and they have that right by virtue of being brought into this world by those two people.
I also want to add on to that because, like, you touching on like the masculinity and the femininity. The thing is, you can only display so much masculinity and femininity. Thing is, like, it doesn't matter if you're a biological woman and you're trying to exert as much masculinity as possible. At the end of the day, a child's gonna grow up in a same-sex household, and they're gonna go to school and then see that other parents have a father figure, a mother figure, and they're gonna grow up and start, and just all this stuff about same-sex couples, like gender, all this stuff's gonna come to them at a very young age. They're one-dimensional. They're not gonna take it in the same way that we do. So I just feel like from a very young age, it would confuse the kid.
I was raised by a single mother, and so I was raised by all women. So like I was saying before, you know, I do hair. I grew up in salons. I grew up, you know, watching my mom getting her eyebrows waxed, and I was always, you know, masculine as a young boy, but the validation and the insecurities just continued to grow as I became older. As far as working and being committed to something and finishing a task, those were areas that I lacked in. But one area that I knew about and was so familiar about was women. But as far as having a man say, hey, this is actually what the woman is for. She's not to be your plaything. She's actually a valued person with emotions and standards and morals and values. And this is how you should, you know, treat a woman. So to have a father in my life would have kept me from doing a ton of stuff that ended up hurting me emotionally later on and causing a lot of trauma. You know, so now that I have a son,
Use you with
I
trauma.
hug him and give him that masculine, if you would say, you know, emotional embrace. You know, and I think that's important. You can't just get that from one or the other or the same sex. I believe it can only come from a mother and a father.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I also, not only is it, you know, as a Christian, it's not biblical to represent that to our children, but I don't think it's a sustainable model either, if you're looking at it from that perspective. Like, if we're gonna normalize same-sex households,
This
we
one's
will
a
have very
parent?
difficult reproduction issue down the line. Think if every single family suddenly became a single-sex household. There's a reason
That's not gonna
why
happen.
mammals have a male and a female and they reproduce. You know, that's the way we're built. That's the way we're built biologically and from God.
I don't agree with most
There
of the
you go.
you guys said, but I do agree about balance, okay? I am a queer mother of a 14-year-old male, and I believe that he definitely benefits from a male in his life as well as me in his life. Now, the thing that you guys really aren't touching on is that most queer families are not just the deficit of the opposite sex. There's a lot of extended family. Like, I make sure that my son has lots of male influence because I know, like what you're talking about is 1,000% true, especially in the Black community. The destruction of the Black household is just a whole different conversation. But because I know that, it is my responsibility to make sure he's got a strong male influence or a few of them in his life. Now, if they're not a father, they can be a father figure. I'm adopted, so I don't necessarily agree with everything you said about the biology of family, because I believe the only thing that's real in this world is love. And I do believe anybody can love and fortify a child a beautiful environment. But I do believe a child does benefit from male and female energy.
Energy.
First thing I want to know if that is she says that son she have, if that she biological son, right?
Maybe.
No, I wonder if that she biological son because she is a that, right?
What is that?
She, oh gosh.
Who the fuck is Robotron? There's a butler.
Right.
Metrotron.
So she,
Who the fuck is this?
you say she's queer, right? But if the son is biological, she said from the year 6, I don't know how this does work. Year 6, she know what right. So how either she go back sperm back when she was a man and make this shit. As you how I could see it. But for the most part, most of them I know that do that is have an actual person is the father. Though. So she wear them out a little bit because of that. As you saying, right, since he was this age, you know he was that. Oh gosh, you know he was that. Then you still have a child, even though you're not on that. You're not supposed to have children if you're on that. I mean, if you're doing science. No. I say if you're doing science, right? You know, like how babies does make. When a mommy you, meet a daddy you, baby. I say
so
that.
What you're saying, because she's queer, she can't have children. Or shouldn't have children.
You should. Because there is no way in.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Right. Yeah. I'll go back. Right. So you go and you get insemination, they call that?
Artificial insemination? Or she probably just had sex with.
No, why I'm saying that, you see, I going from what she said, right? She said she's 6, she realized she not on that team. She switched sides, right? That's what she say.
She's gay.
Right. Since the age of 6. Right?
Okay.
Big man, I try to get boost on the channel and you're talking about me get.
You try to get nothing. You try to get nothing. Don't be on that.
It's right? She gay, right? Oh god, she gay. So
why you say it like that? You realize a big hot boy, but you're trying to get boosted. She's gay. And that's it. Full stop. End of story. No problem. Move on.
Right? She gay. And she say at 6 she was gay. But if she go ahead and is it in terms of the belief or whatever, look at about words. Just like them. No, that was no. What I think I put it from what she say. Cause you say yes, get at 6.
In front of the camera, she wouldn't divulge all her information on us.
No, but she say at 6. So Yusuf growing up, I don't know how old she is now. You still went and get laid, get piped, right?
So
even though you. No, but you see, you don't like that since a certain age.
No. Hold on. So the same way we saying, you should investigate what's going on with children, where this coming from, right? The children say they're gay or whatever the case is. Right? You investigate where it come from, and if it's so, then it's so. It's the same way as an adult, you could question what side you want to be on according to you. What side you want to be on. So she probably experiment and she probably get knocked up. And she make a child.
No, but you can't. To me, it's not making sense. No, that's not making sense that you see you're already on that side because you made the choice, right? You made the choice at 6. And
okay, I think you misconstrued feminists with lesbians. I know there's a very thin line to cross. When you're looking from, outside in, it's a very thin line to cross, but not all lesbians are feminists.
No, I just say that I find it weird that you're saying at a certain point in your life, you already accept that this is who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I had to accept, that's it, right? Let's say I accept I was Mega Man. My parents let me accept myself as Mega Man for all this. You had to commit. You had to commit to me looking for other views. Mega Man right through.
Right. So they're going to get an actual fusion cannon surgically implemented. Okay. Cool. Let's make it sure we're on the same page.
Right?
No
so
problem.
the thing I'm trying to say, she weak. Why so weak? No commitment. See, the other say that no commitment.
I trying to get boosted on this channel. That is what he said earlier, you know. Yeah, no. But alright, you go ahead. Views expressed on this stream is not necessarily the views expressed of Spawn Point Discord server.
So I disagree. Clearly, being a two-male household with two little girls, like you were saying, you know, I have a lot of strong women in my life and in my husband's life, and you know, we make sure that they are a part of our lives. They are a part of our girls' lives. That they know them very well. That they feel comfortable with them.
But he doesn't think to shoot them for some reason.
You know, if you don't feel comfortable ever coming to me about any kind of situation, you have your aunt, you have your grandma, you have these awesome, amazing women in your life that you can talk to, and you should feel open.
Yeah, but instead of going to external force,
family's job, as like you mentioned, like strong female figures. Do you think it's their job for them to parent your own kid? Because
they're not parenting.
Not
it's
at all.
just an influence.
We were talking about like extended relatives, but what about immigrant families where all of your extended relatives are in a different country, a different time zone?
It doesn't
have to be family though. It can be like
family.
It can be chosen family. It's just some woman or some man in your life that has a relationship.
and then when he did the lens start,
they
they want to say something else.
To maybe
Make up all
step
mine.
in and give that, like I know for me, I have two dads and I have strong female figures in my life. They never parented me, but sure, I know that they're there if I need them. I mean, you know, when I got my period, I went to my dad's. I didn't want to go to any woman because they're my parents and they made me feel loved. And I had never, ever once wanted a mom, sought a mom, thought I was missing something because I didn't have a mom, and I'm sick and tired.
You can't miss something if you don't never had it.
It's because you didn't have it.
Hey, yo. Man, intrusive thoughts winning, though.
Big up.
You can't miss something if you never had it, man. I think she misunderstood the question, though.
Are you now invalidating the experience?
Yes. Because she didn't have a mother figure, she didn't know how to comprehend stuff.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
That good for you. Fucking shit.
So you have to see the meme. Right. I forgot to see. Yeah. Video.
Yeah, but do you feel like you're missing something or you're not missing having two dads because you didn't have it?
Well, no, that's not what we're talking about. Because what happened? No. Because what happens is
you're missing out then.
How you go?
Yeah, you are. Go ahead. Continue.
It would not. All right. So the same figures, right? Based on what you see, the whole conversation happened, right? The same about figures, right? So I have a mother and a father, right?
You just
this
assume their gender.
Right. So they, from what they say, right? They say, oh, they have so she says she had two dads, right? And they have female figures out there, right? The female figures that you needed, right? So now you're currently the mother and father. So what about the other male figures besides your father, right? And other male figures besides your mother? It wouldn't be the exact same thing that, as you're saying, in the extended family or whatever, or a female figure or a male figure or whatever. It wouldn't be the exact, wouldn't it come fall on the exact same thing they're saying? I would guess.
Yes.
Because you're saying, right, two dads, okay, all right. But you had the female figures, your aunt, whoever, all right? Mother and father, all right? He brother, your mother brother or something. I more than one, I more than the same figure. I didn't say that. I try to understand where they're coming from.
You're bad talking them though. So are you trying to understand?
All talk is bad talk.
What, because I don't have two dads?
I hear
Like,
yes,
what is that?
ma'am. But I hear
No, hold on, because we all know, you know this, and I know this. There's this bond that a mother and child have that nobody can replace. I don't care if it's another dad, I don't care if it's aunt, I don't care if it's a grandmother.
Wrong. There was a study
Hold on
done
one second.
showing that
I don't
the
care about-
fathers
I don't
form
care
the
about
same
studies.
biological
Studies mean nothing
connection.
to me. Studies mean nothing to me.
I want to hear him out. I want to hear
about
this guy out
reality.
right here.
Listen,
What's he saying?
You saying that I've never cared about having a mom, it never bothered me, I have two dads, they're great. You're saying that because you don't have your mother, which kills me. That kills me to think that
I'm
you never
sorry
knew
it kills
her.
you.
Let the man talk now.
That is wild. What if her mom? What if her mom? What if her biological
Let the man
mom?
talk,
Let's just say her
man.
biological
Sure.
mom was a drug addict, a prostitute, like my
Oh,
biological.
yeah, boy. Time to take an extreme and run with it, boy. Oh my gosh. Like, stop taking an extreme and run with it. Man is saying right. Talking about a normal family that have a normal mother and father that well, fathers play them.
Mom that did not hold me the first 3 months.
that's a
I'm
hard-
not
that's-
missing
that's a
her.
horrible- that's a
I'm not
horrible
missing
reality.
her.
We're talking about-
Hey,
Scenario, we're talking about
But
optional
this is a real life
scenario.
scenario. This is a real life scenario.
You're talking about your experience, you idiot. And I invalidate. I can't believe these people alone.
I don't miss that comfort.
But
from
you
her.
don't know that because you don't
But
know
you
her.
don't know that because you're not me.
Exactly.
So
But
you
what
can't
I'm what
speak
I'm
for other queer
what
folk
I'm
and tell them what they're missing.
First of all,
You
I
can't
don't
tell them
even
what they're
even know what
missing.
queer means because you have a different definition. I'm sure you have a different definition. I'm sure you have one. And I'm sure you have one. And I'm sure you have one.
It's 2022, baby. You better look up what queer means. It's often used awful.
So you guys.
awful
So
lot
hold on. You
now.
guys have the exact same
Like,
definition
no, I
of
would
what a
just-
queer
no,
person is.
I get the definition from schooling, from academia.
Okay. No, I don't think any part of the conversation really bothered me so much. I think the one thing that I wish I could have nailed down was a clear definition of what being queer is. I understand that each person. and
Oh,
I
I
actually
forget you
say
are two
each
dads. My
probably
bad.
has his or
This
her
will be a
own
little
definition.
offensive to you.
You know, the same way if
Oh.
they asked us what a conservative was, we probably
Johnny.
had a definition for it. But I just wish that
They do?
you know that definition would have.
No, I
helped me
just
frame
joke with
maybe
him.
some of my questions a little bit better that I had. Yeah. I'm talking about you guys right here.
But you guys, we're all the same here, honey.
No,
We're all human beings
No,
with blood
equality is a
running
false
through us.
god.
We're all
Equality
the
is
same
a false
people,
god. We are
honey.
not all the same. He's black. I'm mixed. White. White. We're
You
not
don't
the
know
same.
oh my God. Whatever you characterize me is a very small bit of me because you don't know me. I can't judge
Exactly,
you.
so I
off of
wouldn't
you.
assume to say
Well,
that
it's not-
I'm-
we're all,
that
we're
me and
all
you are the
human
same.
beings.
We
We're all,
even,
we're all
inequality
human
is what
beings.
actually makes us.
Oh my god, do these people understand comprehension or something?
What's that?
He just not say right. He just not say we all different. She said no. Then proceeds to say she different from them. Oh my gosh, yo.
you're
Make it
looking too
make
deeply into
sense. Me looking deep. I just watch it like man just not say all of we different. You say no, then you proceed to explain that all you're different. Oh my gosh, I swear.
Everything good. I mean, we were just talking about how, you know, that somebody in your life, like an aunt, is filling the role of the mother.
I didn't say filling the role.
But you said
I did not
some
say
woman.
filling the
A
role.
mother is not
Do
some
not
woman.
put
A
words in
mother
my
is
mouth.
a mother.
Correct.
And no
I don't
matter
have a
who
mother.
you
I
are,
have some woman who I can go to if I need them, and they're a
And
role
she's
model.
not missing out on a mother because she doesn't have one, and nobody should be able to tell her that.
Of course, she
is
has a
one.
mother. She just doesn't have a relationship.
I didn't have my father my whole entire, childhood. From the age of 22 until now, I have a good relationship with my father. I was missing something. I didn't really have a great relationship with my mother. My mother never talked to me, never said two words to me. I had absolutely nobody. So to say that, oh, I don't need a
But
mom.
being raised by a single parent and being raised by a two-parent household, foundationally, economically, spiritually, it is about that. It is about that.
At the end of the day,
Let the
I
man
don't want my
talk now.
household to be a free-for-all for anybody and everybody to come with their political views, their religious views. If I say I don't want my daughter to have sex before marriage, I don't want my best friend Susie to come and say,
Absolutely
well,
not.
you
gotta
Why
pick
do
your
you think
friends.
that's what my household is?
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking
Absolutely. I
about
agree.
my
I
household.
agree 1000%.
I'm not talking about you. I don't know about your situation. What I'm saying is, as far as me and my house, I'm not going to let everybody, whether I love them. I understand what you guys are saying about
As you
love.
shouldn't.
Trust
As
me.
you
I
shouldn't.
understand what you guys are saying about love, and I agree.
And it'd be
children
heterosexual.
need,
What are the man talk
but
now?
also children need
Oh my
order.
energy.
Absolutely.
So therefore, in a same-sex house, the order of the
drop on you
natural
album
order
or
is being
something.
stripped away. I'm not saying you don't love your daughters. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the order. You love your two dads. That's great. They support you, they love you, they do things for you, they provide for you. That's amazing. But you're missing the substance of order that can help guide you
Hold on, can I
in
speak?
different directions.
Can I speak, please? What am I missing? Pinpoint exactly what I
Hey,
am
boy.
missing.
A mother.
And how, right, what am I missing from that?
Fundamental difference between a
what
mother
can
and a
you-
father.
Okay, so what can you point to in me?
Look,
I
that
don't
would
know
be
you.
different
I don't know you.
because-
That's why I
can-
asked the
can
question
say this.
originally.
I can say this. We don't know you personally.
Mm-hmm.
So
You're
when we say
aggressive
that
and you're
you're
not
missing
feminine.
something from not having children, you're missing guidance in different ways. Anybody
What?
can
Where?
look. Anybody can fabricate emotion. I have two daughters. I can go to my daughter and I can play Barbies with my daughter. She puts on her dresses. I'll be the king. She's the princess, and I can get on the ground crawl. I can make myself be feminine enough for me and her to have a good time. But the real femininity can only come from her mother.
You're
I can
wise.
only
You're
do
wise.
so
Wait,
much.
wait, wait,
That's
wait,
why
wait,
I have a
What
question.
between you actually? Why watch this one, boy? What Blink we gonna watch this one for?
Brother, I come to bring your stream count up from one and a.
Stop. Real quick. We need
That's the
to
only
move
reason
on
I
to this
hear.
moment. We haven't heard from Brittany or Alexa.
I think it's really important to realize that
Holy
it
shit,
takes a
Malik, what does
village.
one do?
It takes a village to raise children. So with Elizabeth coming from a two-parent household, which was a big topic for the agreeers here, a two-parent household, I don't think she's missing on anything. I raise my children with my wife. My daughter knows no different. You know, she is not missing anything. Neither is my son.
Do you think one day they will?
Absolutely not.
I have a question. I don't know how to ask this question. Was it like were you with a male when you had your daughter?
Yes, I was.
Okay. So I guess my question is more so for people for queer people who adopt children.
Okay.
Is there a agenda connected to it to purposely, for the sake of society, community, to adopt children into your home to prove a point? I think that's
I guess
what
I could say
causes.
the
I
same
think that's
thing
what
for you,
causes
though.
the problem.
If you're having a kid for a political agenda, you should not be a parent.
I wonder why white folks adopt black kids all the time. You always see white families adopt black children from Africa, and I'm like, why can't you adopt, a little white kid?
When you look at television, when you look at reality TV, I feel, just from what I'm seeing, I don't go off of statistics and data. That's a bunch of BS. I go off of what I see.
That
Homeboy has
depends.
said that he doesn't believe in data or
June
statistics. I don't think it was a subtle
Dog,
eye
she went
roll.
out
I
to Timberland
definitely
too?
got whiplash.
How else do you make a point that is professional and mature if you're not citing data and you're not citing research and you're calling it all bullshit? That scrapped all of his credibility for me. You're talking about kids of
Nigga, you have
gay
no
parents,
credibility.
and you're
What are you
saying
talking
that they're
about?
all these
What are you doing
things,
to
and
shout
I,
it?
the person you're talking about, I'm sitting here telling you you're wrong, and you're still interrupting me, and you're still invalidating me, and you're still telling me that your opinion must be right, even though you're not in my shoes. That was really shocking.
What statistic she posted?
Yeah, I wanted to respond.
Exactly. She is no zero
Whoa, calm down,
statistics.
calm
nothing.
down, calm down, calm down, calm down. I just
Okay,
asked a
this
simple
thing
question.
died.
Why are you so hamstrung on this? I just asked a simple question. What statistics has she provided?
No, I just
All
saying.
that-
Why
you
is
jump up
yes?
in a
No,
big
no,
color
no.
loop. Oh, no. You see. She put it like, dog, calm down, relax. Take a deep breath, count it backwards from 10. If you want to train a little USA, it's fine, but you're very, enraged by this conversation. clearly.
I just do like when
male
people,
ego is
you're
being
saying something,
diddled.
right? You're
Your
saying
fragile male
something,
ego is being diddled.
and then you're pulling back and saying something else.
No, but
Like,
seriously, what she provide? What stat she
absolutely
provide?
nothing. Zero. All she was doing was shouting, "Oh, you don't know me. You don't know me."
Well, that is a fact, right? That is a fact.
Yeah, you can say no. But then you're saying that and talking about stats and whatever, but never provided any. And then going back and you don't know me. Okay. Pick your poison, please, woman. Or whatever
Nah,
you
no
identify it as. Just now, let me see how much put it. Let me just have again.
We might just go and get charged on our boy.
Okay, pause if I went
Okay.
another hour again.
Points. We've been talking a
Like,
lot about what is natural,
wow.
what is order.
I'll tell you any morning how to
I'd
fix
like to
that.
say there are many, many studies of over
Go and fight up
1,500
in the night to fix that.
Yeah, I know that fun.
species of
They were
animals
in there.
that have, they parent in their species children that are not biologically theirs. I also don't think that reproduction is the end-all be-all of what a family is to be. You're allowed to
Then
have
how
your
we
own
get our
political beliefs.
family?
I totally understand that and respect that.
Don't.
What you're talking about with sustainability, I'm not suddenly going to tell all the straight people to suddenly partner up with people of the same sex and no longer reproduce. It's a minority of people that are queer that do want to have children. And I just think that they should be allowed to have children. And I don't think that they are depriving the children of anything. Because I think the foundation of what a family should be is to provide a child with love and support and raise them into respectable, upstanding citizens. I think it's important to have masculine energy, to have feminine energy, to have any other energy that there is. I just don't think that that is necessarily the job of the parents to
Where does
incorporate these
energy
gender
thing come
roles
from?
into it.
Are we able to
Feminist.
qualify something before the next one?
May I
I
respond to Elizabeth?
don't understand this energy
Reset.
thing, and I can't shoot nothing out of my hand.
Reset.
Wee! Who's still hey? Get up from the arguing.
Can I shoot like pink energy out my right hand and like blue energy out my left hand? Like, can I focus this? Can I level it up?
Wow, you binary male and female to blue and pink?
Yeah, I don't care, horse. Whatever. Can I shoot
Big
a fucking
hut.
rainbow out my? Can I shoot each different color rainbow out my toes? No, I can't. So why do you keep using energy? Why don't you just continue using teaching as it was? Why use energy, horse? Like, I can't focus this shit. I
I
can't
feel like
fire
I
this
should
shit out,
I
man.
should search it up, right?
I
Masculine.
can't Kamehameha rainbow horse. I would love
Right, there
to.
it
That'd be
is.
pretty good epic.
Masculine energy.
Why dark and like a volcano exploding?
Look at those.
I'm watching the picture there, you're blind.
Oh. Hoping all along.
Imagine using Google and not Bing or ChatGPT. Caveman.
Hey, Jakarta, don't let me hear that name. Excuse me. As reported by Living Well Counseling Services, masculine energy is about doing and being action-oriented. Masculine energy is stable and more predictable. The strengths are will, clarity, and focus. Masculine energy likes to create structures and rules, so it knows how to apply logic properly. Not blink.
Probably not. What was the other one?
Contrary to masculine energy, feminine energy is flowing and dynamic. Its movement cannot be predicted or always explained with a rational mind.
Get Webster's definition from an up.
This energy is not constrained by social norms because it does not follow rules other than the guidance that comes from the heart. People who are more dominant with feminine energy will have following characteristics. Easily able to calm down, cap. Good at taking care of themselves and loving themselves, more cap. Able to find creative inspiration, cap. Able to empathize, even more cap. Able to make judgment outside the realm of rationality. Okay, I can get them that. Prioritizing feelings. Yeah, okay, I can get that one too. Having good communication skills, cap.
Why didn't you know the masculine?
Oh, I didn't realize it had it.
Wow.
I didn't realize it had it. My bad. Sorry.
Read, nigga, read.
Masculine energy has core energy characters energy, as core energy or characteristics as follows: good, rational, and logical skin, able to think clearly, able to build ongoing effort, good external strength in persona, able to think creatively and solve problems, fond of challenges, longing for admiration and appreciation, independent, no need, no.
Right, we have Merriam-Webster's definition now, please. Not this stars and crystals definition.
If it have them definitions.
Look at you saying that only limited to stars and crystal definition. Or damn big up.
Let me see. Oh gosh. Almost. Merriam-Webster. Oh, it don't have energy. It's just masculine. So it don't exist. So it doesn't exist.
We all do.
On bad day.
It's necessary for parents to have open dialogue about sex with their children.
Yes. Somebody say, oh no.
Yeah, somebody say, hell no.
I do believe it's
think so.
necessary, but I
Yeah.
believe
Go
you have
ahead.
to do it at an appropriate age. But once they're ready, then I think you should have those conversations so that they don't have to go outside the family for that information. I never felt comfortable going to my parents at all, or my mom. I never felt comfortable going to her. I would like to create a space for my child, which I have, where I hope that no matter what happens in her life, that she feels comfortable going to me at least. And then I will help her, or together we'll determine if she's actually ready for the conversation, and hopefully she is.
I definitely agree with you. I think it's so important to be able to have a dialogue. So
oh, should I? She have a mother.
Oh, you have to come to me for this. One thing is like when it's
what?
She not realize she have a mother.
Holy shit! The trans decorated it in the flag too. Cool.
Oh my god, the girl trying to cause a cry because she not realize she have a mother.
That funny?
She was just not boasting that. I don't need no mother. I don't need no mother.
I guess we could make fun of you because you've been wearing a durag for the past couple months and you still don't look like Osborne now. No, don't be quiet.
Let him slide.
Let's all
Let
laugh.
him slide.
Let's all laugh. Don't be quiet. Let's all laugh. Let's all laugh at you and point fingers.
Let him slide.
Man trying to be Osborne and can't get waves. You just chill. Just cut your hair ball, dog. It's fine. Or go ass. Join your austerity.
She just not boasting.
Well, let me find out if it's that. Let me find out. Press play now, man. Let me find out if it's
come
that.
to me for this. One thing is like when it's much younger.
I'm really sorry. I just haven't been told I was raised wrong in a long time. This is a lot of trauma associated with this. And it's not trauma for my family, it's trauma from people telling me it's wrong. I know my family is right, and I know my family is normal. I didn't know it. I didn't know my family was not normal until other people decided to tell me that.
And that was nobody else's business to say that.
No one.
What?
Absolutely not.
Which
This
way?
is my
Where this going
biggest fear
from?
for my two daughters. For me, I feel like I have to prepare them as much.
Yes,
as
you need to prepare them because it's not
that
normal for
outside
children to
world
see that.
That can tell you that you're wrong or that your family is wrong.
You need to
'Cause
prepare
that's one
them.
of my biggest fears.
I don't think anybody said wrong, but
A lot of people say
I
it's
grew up
wrong.
in a less than ideal family. A less than ideal, I think, is where, as
But there
humans,
was
right?
nothing less ideal about her situation.
No, this is what she's hearing, though. This is what she is
we're all
perceiving that
hearing,
she's
though.
hearing.
Well, I'm
you know?
hearing it too. I'm hearing in validation of her family, of the structure. She's got a two-parent household right now. Most heterosexual families end up in divorce. We don't.
Also, every
Yes, you
single
do.
screwed
I know
up
there's fight.
person I know has a mom and a dad.
We don't end up
Every
divorced.
single screwed up
Valid.
person has a mom and a dad.
Then you need to
I
change your
met
circle.
nobody royally screwed up with 2 moms and 2 dads. That's that.
Not
And
yet.
honestly, most gay kids' parents are straight. We come from y'all.
Well, they all have to.
Well,
Biologically.
yes, you have to. Damn. Where else you come from?
Hey, yo,
Yeah, Cabbage
no.
Patch? You're not a cabbage patch.
I can't
You have to come from
Hey, they're
straight
gonna
parents.
beat you up outside after this, boy.
my
They're gonna
God.
beat you up. You know them lesbos like to fight? You know, she Tim's already. Shoot, you're gonna get stomped out in the
Woman
back.
talking about her experience, you saw her cry. Like, go dog. She's talking about her experience. All you have to do is just like, okay, cool. And then you give your experience after that.
Yeah, you started crying.
Nobody's invalidating your experience.
Yeah.
You want to invalidate hers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, right? You want to be validated, right? But you're invalidating everybody else's
Yes.
experience. That's real weird, dog.
Yeah, if somebody talking, you had to let them talk, and then you put in your input afterwards. Whether you agree or you disagree, you put in your input. Nobody's invalidating you.
You, as I say, I was reading something today, and I say that women is looking for a way to be,
Victim?
Yes. She
Sure.
just
By all
looking so
means.
much to be a victim that it's not even about you. We're not talking about she on the experience and you catching the feelings. What
No.
never even mentioned you. She read that for gay show. You was next to show kind of thing.
No, they will let what people do.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's hilarious, though.
not the adopted
Unless you're
kids,
having, but they
kids,
all
other
came
queer
from a
kids.
straight relationship.
But our
And-
parents are heterosexual.
No,
Not
I'm
necessarily.
biologically related to one of my dads. My brother is biologically related to the other, and they had us via egg donation and surrogacy. So there's still a biological connection in my house, and I'm glad I have that connection. But I also have one of my dads who has straight parents was adopted, and it just biology doesn't necessarily mean anything. And
What?
I wish people would
I'm-
stress it less,
Oh,
because
Marianne
that's where a
shaking
lot of
her
the
head.
hate comes from. Is, oh, if you're gay, clearly something's wrong. If you have 2 dads, clearly something is wrong with you. And we
So
automatically
just-
assume that children like me or people like my parents aren't as good as
Will this flash?
purely because they're different.
Nobody
Mars,
said
flash,
that.
flash, flash,
No one
Mars.
said it in this room, but the world says it. And that's not fair.
With the stats and that.
Everyone just
Oh,
take a
no,
breath.
wait, pause. If nobody in the room said it, then why you getting on like that?
And she want to be a victim.
Nobody in the room said it.
Then she said, oh, the world saying that. Where your stats? And use Mr.
Alright.
Stats, see?
Well, somebody should have said, well, where you start on that.
No, if somebody
can
say that,
because you'd have worsened the situation.
If somebody say that, no, I gotta turn this video off, no.
You'd have worsened the situation. Gotta do that. Empathy, senpai, empathy.
Take a
Never.
moment before we circle back to the prompt, okay? Just take a deep breath. Do we feel okay to, yeah? Okay.
Nah.
It's necessary for parents to have open dialogue about sex with their children.
I would
Yes.
also say that from a young age, we can talk about things that are
Talking again?
involved with sex ed, but not
already?
explicitly sex. For
Yeah.
instance, consent
Mhm.
is a very important topic that I think should be brought up
She talked
as young
before
as
the woman who was
possible.
talking before the girl
We
started
mentioned
crying.
before about the case of you don't have to hug your uncle if you don't want to, or hey, do you want help cleaning that mess up or something? I think those are inherently part of good sex
Or
education.
being
They're not
forced to speak to
explicitly,
relatives on the phone
about
that you don't want to
sex.
talk to.
I think growing up, I didn't have much social media, so I never saw this stuff. But I go on Instagram now. Just so many posts, so many stories are just about all of these things about sex, consent, and it can really go both ways, right? There's extremes on both sides, but the age that it starts at, you should really just encourage your kid to you should tell them the bare minimum, the biological standard, right? There's 2 biological sexes, stuff happens, but really let them do their own research and encourage them to research both sides rather than just mainly
What
pushing your
age
ideas.
are you saying? for that?
Whenever they get social media, whenever they first hear about it and they have any questions about it. So I grew up with religious and conservative parents, but they never made it clear that those 2 parts of my identity were the only things that were to rule my entire lifestyle. So what I mean by that is, growing up, I would hear about politics. Whenever I would ask them a question about it, they never made it clear what their stance on it was because they wanted me to explore both sides.
Okay,
Whenever I ask
okay,
them
big
questions,
brain
they always
parents.
tell me to explore the thing
She look
first,
like
go on
Lina
Google
Twice.
research, go to different sources, and then we can have a discussion once I've
No, she
really
does.
been truly informed.
If we're empowering them to do their own research, they
The
can get
facial
into the
structure.
very wrong
I could take away the
sides of
glasses.
doing that research. For instance, most people I know got their sex ed from porn. And if we're talking about, sex and consent, I don't think anyone in this room is thinking that porn is a great example of sex ed.
My son I definitely caught my son watching porn, and he's
Oh, we do.
14 years old, and it was a conversation. And I didn't shame him, but if this is already happening, what do I look like coming at him?
Was
and
it lesbian,
reprimanding him
though?
and telling him this is a boundary, or we don't do this in this house because you're gonna go to all this action. It's like, no, this is already happening.
Well, that's
So
what type
if
it
now I'm
is.
just now finding out about it. So now there's a communication, and we actually had a whole on conversation about why this isn't real and why this is not okay for you. You're gonna be an adult the rest of your life, honey. Be a 14-year-old right now. And he's like, you're right, Mom. Nah, don't worry about it again. You're probably still sneaking and watching porn. But you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be able to stop that. I'm gonna be able to communicate with him and do the best I can do. That's all we can do as
See, but
parents.
that's good because you told him about this stuff before it got worse.
So I have a son and a daughter. My son is almost 7. My daughter's 4. So, I don't like to keep that, like if one's showering, the other's in their room, and vice versa. But one thing I guess I stepped forward for was mostly because we use the word penis. We use the word vagina. I want them to know their
Okay,
anatomy.
and
I want them to know that this is what you have.
No, you're supposed to.
This is your,
Instead
nobody
of using
No,
your-
touches this.
your-
no,
Nobody,
I know,
whatever
but
words parents is using.
my parents never use what I call that stuff, like wee
Call it
and
Yeah.
and what kind of terminology is that go fall on there?
I don't know. Trap
Right.
baby word talk.
Okay, my parents never use that. Them straight up, yo, penis, vagina, breasts, everything. Them make it clear that yo, this is the words for XY. No, I mean obvious when I get older, now we start to make kind of understand stuff better. Used to make jokes. So you ain't go like say straight out penis or whatever. You say how they used to call it what wiggy.
Why?
No, older now you could understand jokes and thing. So like what they call this thing? The little red beast has bite here.
What?
And you go out in grass and thing. You're gonna ruin your grass.
The red beast that's bite you?
Hey, man.
Here am I living up in the north, right? I don't have them thing up in.
So you never roll in bush and get betus. You never get that?
What's
Never
betus?
get yeah? Betus, you know what is that?
Bud.
Eh?
So that's what like the bud stick to your clothes.
No, I never.
I roll the bush.
So when you roll, like go and play in the bush, there's like latch on to your genitals, and you have to like take chemical to take them off because it does.
Why are you rolling the bush without clothes on?
No, you with clothes on. I talking about this little pieces like real tiny and like will crawl up your on your skin and thing and bite you. It never necessarily used to be your genitals, but I would used to target most of the time.
I used to play. We had a savannah in the back by and the bush used to be high. We used to be there playing gun shooting in the bush all day. I never encountered, nobody around me ever encountered anything like that.
I'll get bud and have a type of seed. If you get caught in your hair in trouble, you gotta cut your hair to get it out. And it's a type of picker. But the seeds, if they get caught in your hair, is tie up with your hair. And that is, you gotta cut that spot to get out.
Is he kind of spiky one?
Yeah, the spiky ones.
Okay,
I remember that. Primary school, we used to like to have the water bomb behind the little pots. Water, and it explode. One time we kept a girl in primary school, we put it in her drinking water, and she didn't look what she was drinking. It burst in her mouth. Catch you with that? In the schoolyard, people used to make the little go-kart with the You thread and spoon and wax and rubber bands. That was fun. Make the zings, make the zingers on the thread with a bottle cap. How many with it? So yeah, so there you go, swing. And plus,
we had no bugs biting we testicles up in the north here. I don't know what's up by talking about.
Wow.
the best is when I was in standard 3, standard 4, standard 5. That's when you get the
World War I or World War II?
That is when the schoolyard used to have this in the part of the yard used to have a lot of pickup brushes to grow up. And when you play tag with me, I run in the middle, pick up brush and sit down. All the people with the short part go, ow, 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 try to catch me. When one come up close to me, I say, grab and throw me in the pick up patch. Yeah, your turn.
Man, I was a menace, boy. Hey, yo, press me.
Be sees
But
it
I was a
other than
menace.
you, or like if I'm giving you a shower or helping you wipe your butt, like things like that. You know, I learned about sex from boys being gross in class. I didn't know how anything worked, and that's kind of because, like you said, you didn't have a good relationship with your parents. I didn't have that. I wasn't comfortable asking my mom or my dad, like, what is this? They probably should have been the ones to educate me first. Probably wouldn't have
My
became a
parents
teen
answer
parent,
my
but-
questions. Normal.
Yeah, I only hung back because I agree and I disagree. Like for me, it was very interesting. I have mom and dad. My mother's a very very Latin woman, so it's kind of funny that she was the one who I talked to about sex more than my dad. I don't think I've ever said more than 2 words to my dad up until this day about sex. So for my daughter, I almost kind of want to mirror that for obvious reasons. I mean, that might just be a better conversation for her mom to have with her. I mean, I'm willing to have a conversation, but I also feel a little bit uncomfortable at the same time. Maybe that has to do with my past. I don't know. But yeah, I think the younger people here have it so incredibly difficult and so incredibly easy just because they have everything available to them at the same time. Where like me, you, like you over there, like we have to figure stuff out from like, you know, blurry VHS tapes or like slow internet downloads and stuff like that. So it's very like I'm not jealous of you guys at all.
That's fair. That's fair to say that I might not feel comfortable talking to my daughter about intercourse.
Right.
That's completely. It was way easier for me to talk to my son about how bitches are. Like, look, you're good at basketball.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
disrespectful.
You're good at
Why would you
athletically
call them
and
that?
whatnot. Like, I know how women are going to be.
When it
They're
comes
gonna
to
be-
courting, yeah, like I
Absolutely.
could talk to her probably a lot easier than
Absolutely.
I can about
I said disagree because of the word necessary. I don't think that it's necessary. You know, everyone's watched Animal Planet. Nobody teaches the lion cubs how to have sex or what to do. I think it's ingrained in all of us. I think it's just something that is the result of evolutionary biology. My dad was a very strong masculine figure in my life, and he was always there for me. But I never had the birds and the bees talk. I never had it. I went through puberty. I felt all the things that young boys feel going through puberty. I used my eyes and I looked around the world. I talked to my friends like curious kids do, and we figured it out. And we kind of knew what was going on. But something you said actually made me think and almost reconsider if I made the right choice. And that was about pornography. Because this is a very big issue, and it's very pervasive in our society today. The average age of first exposure to pornography in this country is 11. And some social scientists are saying that it's getting younger every year. To keep people viewing, to keep the dopamine hits coming to these viewers, these young viewers, it's escalating behaviors. It's rape, it's incest, it's aggression. It is these horribly violent behaviors that they're learning for the first time. You know, by 18 years old, it's over 90% of young boys have seen porn, and 60% for young women. And that is something that we have to recognize.
Watch porn?
I think it is good to have some
they do.
discussions about this.
No, they
But
do
I also
fat.
think that this ties back to why it's important to have a 2-parent home, because it's not just about telling your kids what is right. Kids are very visual learners. And so when they see your mother and father interacting with each other in a loving, nurturing way, they internalize that. They see that, and they in turn go out and they treat other people like that, whether that's their girlfriend or boyfriend. And so that's, I think, one of the big values of having a 2-parent, 2-sex home.
I think being honest, because even being conservative, I think we can be a little hypocritical, like we're so perfect and we have this perfect family, but it's like, no, your mama was a hoe. Yeah, you know, your dad used to do, your dad used to sniff coke.
I'm not gonna get Alex when you go. And now why you see this video?
What happened in here, boy? Good.
You know,
Here
so
we
we're
go.
not perfect, and just being honest and transparent and seeing, you know, certain things in our children and being able to address those things in a timely manner. So I don't think that it's necessary for my kids' age to talk about sex. And I would rather them just for now see the intimacy between a mother and a father before I drop that ball, you know, on them. So.
Okay.
Children should strive to meet
No.
their parents'
Kinda. I don't know.
expectations.
It depends. It
I think
depends.
that's a valid question. What are those
I don't
expectations?
totally agree on
do
that.
we expect our kids to be rocket scientists as soon as they're born? Probably not. If it's like good, upstanding citizens who love and respect their family and their friends, I think so. And I'm sure there are some children of immigrants here who probably have a very high standard expected of them from the day that they were born or the day that they moved to this country.
And that's one thing I wish Asian American households like changed. We should always be expecting improvement. I think that's the one
You
thing
can't
that
talk like
parents should
Yvonne
always
too.
be putting on their kids.
There
Thing
you
is,
go.
I'm really bad at math. Like I did not learn how to add positive negative numbers until like 7th, late 8th grade,
Do
which is
math.
really, really bad. Okay, especially for an Asian. But the thing is, it doesn't matter where your kid starts. You should always be encouraging them to improve. You don't set quantitative standards for them, saying get an A on this, get B on this. What you should be encouraging is, oh, you got a C? Try to get C plus, B. Small steps are what gets your kid there.
I don't want to not create, but raise a child that is reckless. Like, okay, well, you have the freedom, be yourself, express yourself, do whatever you want. And then, you know, she comes home, you know, 16 and pregnant. I'm like, you did this and blah, blah, blah. Well, Dad, you didn't tell me anything. So the expectations isn't to be perfect, but just take a little bit of the things that she's learned, you know, that they've learned from their mom and dad and utilize them in their life to the best of their abilities. And if they can do that, I'm happy with it. My parenting style, I feel, is, I would say it's strict, but it's not strict. You know, although my children aren't allowed to be exposed to certain things, they still have an amazing way of life because they get to do things with their mother and father who are actually present while they're in their presence.
Let's
instead
go.
of scrolling on social media and ignoring the child, you know, when the child could be needing you more than you think. So I pride myself on being as present as I can and setting that strong foundation for my children.
I think it's also important to teach your kids that the expectations you're setting for them and those goals that you're setting for them isn't for you, it's for them. And that's something really important that my parents taught me, was that here are the goals, here's what we expect out of you, but at the end of the day, your successes are your own and your failures are your own. And one day, mom and dad aren't gonna be here, and you're gonna have only yourself to look to for your accomplishments. And so it's setting the goals and setting the bar, but then making them realize this is all you. The ball's in your court and your life is in your hands. It's not in ours.
The expectation that I have is just they're the best person that they could be. And I think that's the same for every parent. I mean, that's the goal and the wish, that your child is happy and healthy and content of who they are and what they're doing. And of course, I'm going to push them to take the next step, and I'll always push them. But, you know, I think that
You just
expectation
sing rolling again, boy.
is a valid one.
I agree with a lot of the stuff you guys were saying, but the
Wait,
reason
a lot of
I
people that
didn't fully
disagree?
step forward
Yeah.
was I immediately thought
Oh,
of my
shit.
parents.
I didn't see them.
And my
She
parents
on
both grew up
trans
in
you.
conservative homes and were told that they should, the whole goal was to go to college, get a wife, and have kids. If my parents met the expectation that they were going to get married and have a wife and have kids, one, they might have killed themselves and not been here today. Two, I definitely wouldn't have been here. My brother wouldn't have been here. So it can't be the end all be all to meet your parents' expectations.
My parents are immigrants from India, and their expectation for me is to accomplish the American dream, to blend into white society, to blend into rich American society. They placed me from the age of 5 in a all-boys school until the age of 15, and their expectation was for me to blend in. I'm sorry, I can't meet that. Like, I'm a woman. I'm not going to meet your expectation of going to an all-boys school.
Are you sure?
I don't think that's me doing something wrong.
I'll probably make it
That's
worse.
me just living my truth. But there's other expectations that I think are very appropriate for them to have me meet. You know, they want me to go to a good college. They want me to succeed and be happy and accomplish my dreams. And I think those are all wonderful, but I think it's not so black and white. Yeah.
Elementary
That one went
schools
nice.
should teach students about sexual orientation and gender identity.
Oof.
I don't think they should teach like
Ooh.
queer theory or like college level gender classes, but I think they should be taught that these kinds of people
No.
exist in the world, and you will grow up in a world where you need to love
No.
and respect these people.
Yeah, for me, that like if we're talking specifically elementary school, for me that just looks like having a book in the classroom that is about a two-dad family or is about someone deciding that they
Why?
like to wear dresses, and then maybe that disagrees with what they were born as. You
This
know?
feels like
Just
deja
something
vu,
like
though.
a children's book or just some kind of picture on the wall that
It does.
represents that. It doesn't have to be anything beyond that that's not age appropriate.
Slippery
You know,
slope.
this doesn't involve gay sex education or hormone therapy or like if we're talking like elementary
it
school kids,
does.
it's just representation, like just putting it on everyone's radar.
I think
Why?
at its core, it's not about you have to agree with this and this is an agenda. It's about you can agree with this, you can disagree with this, but you need to respect it.
You know,
Yeah, but
growing
this
up,
elementary
I didn't have those
school
books. I was questioning
kids.
myself if I'm normal, quote.
Very
or if I'm,
impressionable.
you know, if there's something wrong with me, why do I have these feelings? Is this correct? Because I never had a conversation with my parents. My parents are straight. My whole family is very conservative. So it was really difficult for me to accept myself because I didn't see the acceptance anywhere else.
It's the exact same thing as different cultures, different religions. It's just another diverse area that you need to be exposed to.
I knew it.
It's like me being okay with schools being taught
pretty gunshots.
heterosexual relationships. Like, I'm okay with that. That's something part of the world, of course. Like,
I didn't get any education from it from school. And, you know, kids use like, that's gays. Like, you're gay. Like, as a derogatory, you know? So for me, it could be as simple as like, this girl has 2 dads. My kids have 2 moms. Simple.
Gay.
Is it Brittany? Okay, so you made a statement just now that where you said you think it should just be like this exists and not go any further. So I think my problem with the school system teaching our children these things is that it doesn't just stop there. And also, what if your boundary is different from her boundary, from his boundary? Everybody's boundary is a little bit different, right? As parents.
Absolutely.
So I don't think the schools understand that. And I don't think government schools really should be raising our children, which they are now, right? You know, we should be really raising our own children. And if we have to put our children in a public school, hopefully they're learning reading, writing, and arithmetic, and the social things, and the cultural things, and the religious things that are valuable to each one of us should come from inside our household.
My approach with parenting is to be very loving, very tender, a very good role model. Some people would say I do some attachment parenting because we still sleep in the same bed, but really it's for a number of reasons.
FBI looking to shoot it.
1 being safety, and 2 being it's more fun than being across the house from my daughter when we're the only 2 people in the house. We just have a very tender, loving relationship. I wanted to make sure that I cultivated that in my relationship with my child because I felt like I grew up without that tenderness and that love and that security in my household. So I wanted to make sure that I provided that for my daughter, no matter what.
You said, I'm so sorry to keep bringing this up. I don't want to like trauma bond or anything, but like you didn't have a good relationship with your parents. You weren't able to go and talk to them about sex or your period or things like that.
Correct.
Where was the best place to get that information other than school, sex ed, for you?
That's a great point, and I'm glad you brought that up. I wish that my parents were open and communicative. I had a similar situation to you. And so I ended up learning it from my friends. So friends and magazines and VHS tapes, somebody mentioned, like you learn about these things other ways, but still it should come from the family, I believe.
It
It should come from the family.
Oh my God.
I can almost guarantee that every single person
taking
here,
extreme now, man.
anybody who's a parent or just has a parent, we all have a different idea of what we want our children to learn and not learn about these particular social constructs and sex in general.
We exist. That's the
Yeah,
thing
but
is
yeah,
like we
is
exist.
sexual orientation a construct?
I want to add on to that.
No.
So
Before she talk, right? I just don't get. It's confusing. I don't know if it's confusing to anybody, but The whole everybody confusing to me. That
Wow.
that
Big up.
alright.
Wow.
These people understand what's the discussion.
Yeah. Remember, they bring in this from their own experiences.
I'm saying, right. Not like discussion. I know what I was supposed to say is example. Like, do they not understand what example is? That hey, your parents should be telling you this. Right? It should be, right? That's how it's supposed to be. Then the school coming and bringing it, but they're adding more to it and they're bringing all kind of thing. And these poor little children, which is easily impressionable, and you have a slippery slope from there.
Did you just assume the wealth of these children?
What?
The wealth and the height of these children.
Agree with a lot of what you guys were saying when you guys are up here about representation. We should be teaching our kids that people of different sexualities, family types, they exist. But when you have one entity, one curriculum, one school, one government, when you have only one entity teaching a thing that can go both ways in a lot of different directions, there's a lot of room for bias. Like, I want my kids when I grow up, I want them to know that these different things exist. But in school, it's just so hard to regulate what's going on. And I see news stories all the time about these children's books. There's one book about teaching, I don't know the name, but it's about a girl exploring her sexuality. And in the book, it literally says, her friend said, maybe you should try tasting your vaginal discharge to see if you like it or not. And the thing is, nobody's advocating for this stuff, at least I hope not. But do you see, it can get out of hand so quickly. So
That's understandable.
When it's hard to regulate.
But again, in schools, it is curriculum, so it wouldn't be anything outside of.
But it was being taught in the curriculum. Like the students were being
Yes.
These books are
Students
in
were
the
reading
classroom.
I think some teachers be wilding out and bringing in their
And
own
the
own
authors,
personal
and the
stuff that's not supposed to be.
Omarion, get them.
That sounds wild.
We forget that, we talk about, the school system and all that stuff, but we forget that these teachers are.
I like
people
Omarion
too.
though.
A lot of these teachers are my age. They're young.
Exactly. So my daughter, when she went into kindergarten, her teacher was amazing, great. She loved my daughter, treated her very, very well. But the first time I went I think it was back to school, not a parent-teacher conference, there was literally, the whole classroom was surrounded with rainbows. And I'm like, rainbow pencils, rainbow ABCs, rainbow. I'm like, okay, we need to know our colors. They need to know their colors. That's cool. But it went from like, okay, you're teaching them to, okay, what is this? Like, I don't care if you are gay or whatever. Was she a gay educator too? No. She, she was married, had kids. I don't know if her kids were or anything like that, but it just was like, what are you trying to do? It just felt weird. I think some. Have to be gay to like the rainbow? No, absolutely not.
No.
That's what I mean, for a 50-year-old woman to have 1,000 rainbows in the classroom when I grew up and there was maybe 1 or 2 or 3. What's
Seems a bit excessive.
What's the
fact
it
that
is
it
the
was thought
access.
that because there was rainbows in the classroom that was pushing agenda to these kids is just ludicrous to me. I mean, to think that a queer person, whether they're a parent or not, has a particular agenda to push LGBTQ community on other people is just ridiculous. And it triggered something in me, and I bit my tongue during that time.
When I was in 5th grade, I had a gay teacher. We all knew he was gay. We all loved him. And I also had a classmate with 2 moms. And the teacher recognized and said, this student has 2 moms. That's perfectly fine. We're not going to go any further than that. Recognizing and seeing the student and telling them that they're safe here. The problem today is what you were talking about, is that it's not just recognition, it's almost indoctrination. It's taking it past just showing people that, yes, you exist and I recognize you. I took sex ed in 5th grade too, and it was very simple. It was the boys went in one classroom with the male teachers, and the girls went into another classroom with the female teachers. And we talked about the anatomy. We could ask questions about sex and questions about puberty. And other than that was kind of it. But now, across this country, you're seeing these types of books that aren't just talking about the biology and the anatomy and teaching kids about procreation. It's talking about pleasure. It's pornographic material, and that has no place in the classroom. And unfortunately, we're almost having to step back and have no sex education, which we want sensible sex education, because people are taking it so far. And my question, my question to those people that agreed is, why do you not think that parents can sufficiently and appropriately determine how and when they talk to their kids about sex? And why are these teachers so eager to talk to other parents' children about sex and gender ideology? I've literally traveled the country reporting on this indoctrination, on the drag queen story hour, on the transition closets, on the coming out day. And whether or not you agree with those, that's fine if you agree with them, but you have to also agree that your child is in a classroom with parents that feel very strongly about those issues, and that has to be left to the parent. It is not the teacher's job to say, today's coming out day, or to say that you can be called by this pronoun or this pronoun, or you can go in either classroom to talk about this anatomy or this anatomy. It's just not your job.
When it comes to pronouns, I feel like that teacher is creating a safe space for that child in case they do come home and they cannot come out to you.
Do kids need a mom and dad?
That aren't like
I didn't mean to point you guys out, but you both are very religious.
Right.
And I personally come from a very religious household. No offense, but I am uncomfortable as hell, you know, being
around Christians.
Not necessarily Christians, but people
Catholic.
that
Christiophobic.
We can be pretty tough.
No, I don't mean to like
just
make you guys
I
feel
understand
uncomfortable.
what you're saying because it's a two-sided coin.
I could do that. What's wrong with you? Invalidating my experience and my
I'm going to be
truth.
Christian
Yeah,
under
because
the
yeah,
old
because
covenant,
they
and
got
I know
more
what Christianity
experience.
believes in the new
Exactly.
covenant. And I know Christianity because I went to a ministerial school for 3 years. So you want to talk about the Bible, we can talk about it. But LGBT is not even talked about in the new covenant where Jesus Christ came and washed away my sins, and I'm a Christian.
Pause, because we do have to move on. I want to hear from Mike.
Pause.
Oh, well, no, I was just going to
I
say
thought
that, you know, my wife and I plan to homeschool for a multitude of reasons. Specifically, we don't want the state involved in our child.
Wait, we say go back there to the pause?
Talked about in the new covenant where Jesus Christ came and washed away my sins, and I'm a Christian.
Pause, because we do have to move on. I want to hear from Mike.
Oh, well, no, I was just going to say that
It's
you
such
know,
a
my wife
weird
and I plan
pause.
to homeschool for
Please
a
don't say
multitude of
pause.
reasons. Specifically, we don't want the state involved in our child's education. There are a bunch of subjects we don't even think should be taught to begin with, like earth science. What the hell is that all about? But to point to Aldo's point, one of the reasons why, especially recently, why we decided this was because we went to our local school district's library, and those books absolutely exist. And we were told by the librarian that an 8 to 12-year-old can take those books out without their parents' permission. And these books, they're kind of like comic booky types. Some of them are, but some of them have extremely pornographic descriptions. Some of them have visual aids. Some of them talking about, hey, try a blowjob, see how it makes you feel. Some of them talking about fingering yourself. I'm absolutely not open to having
that
my
really
daughter look
weird,
at that
though.
stuff, let alone even hear about it from other kids. And second of all, with the teachers in the classrooms, I feel like there is a larger subset of teachers who seem to have an agenda. This is just what I see optically. And it's just not something that I'm comfortable with. So,
Can I quickly ask Ra a question? You talked about creating a safe space for students with pronouns. Do you recognize that some parents that feel very strongly about these issues, that by these teachers creating these safe spaces for students and introducing all the students to the spectrum of gender ideology creates a dangerous space for that other child?
At
that it's
home?
introducing them to
Do
an
I
idea
think-
that the parents feel strongly about?
Do I think creating a safe space for queer and trans kids creates an unsafe place for straight kids? Absolutely not.
That the parents, though, that you recognize that the parents could feel that way, that the introduction of these ideas is not aligning with their values and it's not
start
okay.
At home. I agree 1,000% with homeschooling. I worked at LAUSD for 10 years, and I've seen a lot of shit that goes on in the school district. I absolutely believe that it starts at home. And if you give your kids a good foundation at home, they should be able to have a little bit of a foundation when they go to school and recognize these different things. Like, oh, I don't agree with that. I don't get jiggy with that, but I'm not going to hate and disrespect the person that does. So because there are kids that are committing suicide, there are kids that are coming to school that come to school for safety, for food, not only just to learn about sex ed, but literally because they have no other place to go but to go to school for food in the morning.
what about the kid, though, who's made to feel out to be like a pariah? Let's say if there's one kid who's like, well, you know, that's maybe not what I believe with the pronouns or with any sort of
I'm that kid.
sexual...
I don't care about pronouns. Absolutely.
Right, exactly, sure. So
Yeah.
now, today, I feel like there are kids who are probably going to be pariahed by their teacher. Maybe if they're, you know, if he or she's a bad teacher, I don't know. But that's not necessarily inclusive or maybe a safe space for that one child who, you know, may feel like, I don't believe in any of this stuff.
It's not just about making the kids in the school feel safe, it's about educating the people that don't know how to treat other people outside of the school. So they can take that with them and respect people that are not inside the school.
Sometimes a child needs a spanking.
Yes.
This is interesting because, ooh, let me get close. I feel that every kid needs a spanking, though my wife and I have decided that we're not
It
going to spank our
did.
kids.
Hold on.
If that makes any sense. Like,
does.
I grew up being spanked,
Yeah.
and I turned out all right for it, but I do think that spanking can be, or, you know, physical, what's the word? Physical
Correction.
discipline or physical correction can be useful, but yeah, not for mine.
The thing is, like, you can take this question both ways. There are cases where you should not spank a child. But I think about behaviors that have been ingrained, that have been enabled for a long time, that are terrible, and they should stop. I used to work at a tech summer camp, and there's this little girl who's just a demon. She would, like, go up to the Indian kids, say, "You're ugly, you're brown, you smell." Like, these are things that are enabled. A kid isn't born and has this hate towards Indian people, you know what I mean? So I think a case like that, and when the mom came, she was just like, "Honey, you can't continue doing that. It's been enabled." So I think there are cases where the only way to get to the kid's head is by showing, like, extreme, like, concern. And, like, for some parents, you know, that can come through spanking. But I don't think it should be used for, like, mild cases, like you got to be on a test or something like that.
Right.
So.
Well, and what do? We mirror our parents' behavior. So because I grew up with, you know, my mom spanked me and my dad rarely did, but if he ever got to the point of a spanking, it happened. But I think that my first inclination when my daughter would have a tantrum would just almost kind of be like to either grab her really hard or to just think about, you know, this kid needs a spanking. And I used to tell my wife, I used to be like, just let me do it. Let me see what happens. But just kind of restrained ourselves. And we just said, you know, we decided at first.
FBI, hello?
Like unconservative.
Did the child lunch money you're talking
we came to
about?
the decision we're not
Jump
gonna
no
do that.
jutsu him.
So for me, you know, being African American, I feel like our forms of
Yo,
discipline
what the
are more
shadow clones cut your ass with
brutal
Susan
in
or
some
no?
instances, because they're not really given with
Man,
love.
talking respect
You know,
the brother, Black
you
History
know, I
Month.
remember getting whoopings just
Oh,
for
yeah, no, say
laughing
that.
too early in the morning on a Saturday watching cartoons. You know, so because they're trying to sleep. So I think that, like, when I spank
Yeah,
my daughter,
that's
I always make sure she understands why she's getting the spanking. So it's not, you know, she touched something and then I, you know, get her. It's, hey, you know, you shouldn't climb that because you can fall and really hurt yourself. And then I leave the room and come back in and she's doing it. It's like, okay, you know, so the term that I've always used with her when I've given her spankings is, do you need understanding? And she's like, Daddy, I don't want understanding. Like, I don't want any understanding. But after I've spanked her, I'll give her a minute and then I'll come back in the room and say, all right, let's have a conversation. And sit down like, why did I spank you? Because, Daddy, I was climbing the ladder. What could have happened? I could have really fallen and hurt myself. So what do we not do? Climb the ladder if you're not there. It's done.
Right. This goes back to the conversation we were having about expectations and trying to meet those expectations. And as a parent, if you set an expectation for your child that has to do with their safety and it's not met and you don't correct them, then that's actually not loving. Then that's actually not showing your child that there are consequences to the actions, and that'll lead them to doing the same behavior over and over again. And I'll also say that if you are constantly having to spank and use this extreme
so
measure,
much
then you're
victims
probably
these
doing something
days.
else wrong that needs to be corrected first. So it does have to be used sparingly and not that extreme.
You're exactly right. I grew up in a Latin household. I'm Puerto Rican. And we got
Hey,
the switch, we
amigo.
got the belt, we got the hand, we got the fist,
Mi
we got
amiga.
all of it.
You get the backhand? The backhand, which
We
is
got,
assume
we
I-
got the
assume I
wooden
just-
spoon, we
assume
got
I
all of
gender.
it. And it was terrifying at times, honestly. And sometimes I didn't feel it was justified. Sometimes it was justified. But I didn't want to create an environment for my child where it was
Oh,
severe
Leon,
punishment
where's he seen?
that felt like they were so terrified of me that they weren't going to be able to be somewhat free, right? The punishment needs to fit the crime. If you look at the
Yeah,
animal kingdom, I'll
live.
talk about that again. But they
Yeah, boy,
physically
that man, yeah,
correct
spank it, Sharon.
their young ones when there's danger, when they're out of line, and they teach them because
coughing them.
verbalizing doesn't
Then have
always
some
work. And I
headbutt.
think it should just be minor corrections. I don't think we should get into the realm of abuse, obviously. And also, I feel like these days you can't even touch your child without, you know, somebody wanting to
Pause.
call CPS on you. When I was growing up, there was no laws. You could just beat the tarnation out of your child, apparently. But now, you know, you have to be very careful legally. But
Don't low me
from
play
a
Apex.
biological standpoint, I think it should just be very slight, and the punishment should fit the crime.
Since what control gone me play Apex?
The
Me
first
play
thing that
ranking
bugs me
like
about this conversation that it always seems to be, oh, ha, 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 yeah, I got the smack, and ha, ha. And it always ends up being a laughter. that
Unless it bounce
follows
up on my alt
what
account.
stories of people getting spanked. I was spanked. had my mouth washed out with soap. I had my pants literally pulled down around my ankles and spanked in front of my friends.
I know.
As a child,
really
first of
play
all,
Apex
that
these days.
embarrassment, it was hard to come back from. Very, very hard.
I waiting for
Not only
Tuesday.
that, but my relationship with my father completely suffered because
Read
of
up your patch
I
notes.
resented him. I hated him. I feared him. And it was a long, like, I'm still trying to repair it from this day. And I think that as a parent, now that I'm in that position,
New
and my
season are
child
jumping out
acts
hot
up,
and
yeah,
sweaty.
Of course, we have to discipline them. But sending them to timeout, which they hate and despise, and then having that conversation of why did you go to timeout, and they understand and they repeat what they're not supposed to do, you know, it works, and they don't do it again. And I think we can get the point across and discipline our children
Hopefully servers
without
work though.
abuse, without hitting, without spanking, because that is a lasting impression on a child.
Hey, we ain't talking about
Like with the
Apex here.
lasting impression, right? The
Do
physical
you
pain is
spank your
temporary, the
kids?
mental pain is lifelong forever. And I don't think that a child and now adults should have to live with that trauma for the rest of our lives just because our parents wanted to correct us in that one moment.
Honestly, I don't think spankings are really effective. You know, spare the rod, spoil the child. I come from parents that we had a huge leather belt, and I would, now that I think about it, we'd always get told, oh, don't make me get the leather belt. And Dad did get the leather belt, but I never got hit with that belt. And it was more to invoke that fear, because I could never imagine my parents honestly hitting me. And I didn't have to get hit to mind or to respect them. The moment that my parents were to hit me, I would lose respect for them, because I wouldn't expect, I don't expect my parents to have to hit me. I don't think that's what parents should have to do. If you can't use your words to articulate to your children to respect you, we have a bigger problem.
Yeah. First time I ever did get physically spanked was by my grandpa's
You
wife.
Mr. Fruitful and
I lived with her
multiply.
and blah, blah, blah. And
Your grandmother.
she smacked me, and I smacked her back. You know, like, I wasn't going to take that. I don't take that kind of disrespect. And, like, I don't touch my kids like that. I don't feel like my little 4-year-old daughter, why does she need to be spanked? She's 4. My 6-year-old, he's still learning the world around him. He doesn't need that. That's abusive to me.
Sound like
No offense, but like I just see it as abuse. Spanking absolutely was something I couldn't imagine even speaking of on camera for millions of people to see. And I don't see the point of abuse in children as little as 6, 4, you know, that's very young. And very imprinting on children that, you know, are going to grow up and think that that's how you discipline and that's how you
Spanking
get
will
people to
imprint
hear
on
what you're
children,
saying.
but having
It
two
leaves mental
moms
scars when it's
wouldn't
used in the
imprint
wrong
on them
scenario.
negatively.
So we were talking about that.
Where you come up from with that, boy?
No, I just making the links us. I'm just throwing things up. I just making them.
See, it's them, yes. Them just making all kind of new rules as they go.
I'm not saying spanking is a good thing, you know.
Nah, I'm saying that.
I'm just substituting words here.
Just at least be straight across the border, nah. That's all.
Nah, look at that. You wanna be a bigot like you are.
Of course, King Bigot at a crowd great.
Change it to
Earlier.
change it to
If you're spanking your kid every single day, you can change your parenting, but you only use it when it's a terrible behavior that needs to stop. Like when I was little,
press, you're taking that.
I used to shoplift, okay? I would get away with it. I thought you could just take a candy bar and then leave. But after like my parents found these like chocolate bars that they weren't paying for, they spanked me, and as they should, because if they hadn't spanked me, they just said, honey, don't do this. I would have kept doing it.
If they just said, don't do that shit, you might have just stopped or took something away from you or used different effective ways.
Alright, they understand that each children different, right?
Each children different. Who's your English teacher? I want to speak to that person.
Each child different. Alright, so a child, right? We could talk to that how much that not gonna listen to you. And our next one, you talk to he and easy pickings with the you understand and thing. But some of them had to get some banners, boy. Spark that nut. Give my ball spot early.
Like taking things away from my son, like me smacking my son's 14 years old, who's bigger than me, stronger than me emasculizing my son.
Hey, yo, I thought men and women are equal. How you bigger than you and stronger than you? Something ain't adding up. What is this? Oh my God, now you going for
And
violence.
smacking him as a woman and telling him he's doing something wrong, that's wild. That's not gonna be effective at all. No, hey, let's talk about this. You're gonna get the Xbox taken away. I'm not gonna take you to this AAU practice that we're spending $400 on. We're gonna do something that's gonna be really effective that you actually are going to remember. Because hitting, after a while, that shit don't mean nothing. All right, keep on hitting me. Keep on hitting me. And
That's my middle brother.
I agree with
And then
that
they hit
being,
harder.
at
Only in
15 being
extreme
6'7".
cases,
You know what I mean? So, my
But
mom
when you're
was
12.
like, my mom was like your height. So I think to kind of go off what you were saying, the laughter part. We're not laughing because of the spanking. It's more so, and I hope this makes sense. It's laughing because of the experience of love in the discipline that I experienced with my daughter and the fact that she now understands, and I know that she won't make that same mistake again. Now, to what you were saying, after spanking her, I don't even remember last time I've spanked my daughter, because now, even with my 2-year-old, when they're acting up or doing something or screaming or going crazy, and I'm like, hey guys, stop, and they're still going, I'll get the belt and I'll just jingle, okay, Dad, we're sitting down. And I'm like, oh, so you guys are good? Yeah, Dad, we're good. It's like, I don't have to.
That's a response to stimuli. They're absolutely like, oh shit, we don't want to get hit.
We don't want to get hit, but
out.
also it's a respect thing. Like, that's my father. He's in there, trying to work on the computer or something. We are screaming too loud.
It's the job of the parent to make sure the child can come to them for anything and everything and overall love. Why would you teach a child that person would hit them? That's it.
Okay.
The sexuality of parents
A lot of words just to say
influences
nothing,
their
though.
kids' sexuality.
Yes, it can. It can.
Now, if we're talking about sexuality
It
as
doesn't
in
have
just,
to, but it can.
being openly like, I hope I'm wording this the right way, promiscuous, or your behaviors, I think it does. A lot of things that I do, my kids do. A lot of things that my wife do, they follow her. So I think if I was behaving in a certain way and, treating my wife a certain way in front of my daughters and my son, I think it would affect the way that they treat themselves and the way they treat others.
I don't want to shit on them, but
No shit on them. Remember what it is.
I want to see the single parent. I want to really single them out. No pun intended.
Wow.
All right. Tell me if you know about this. The bringing home of multiple men or multiple women.
How does that affect the child?
Yeah.
Negatively.
I find that, all right, a way that I think sexuality could affect the children, because I perceive it in that real way, and you shouldn't be bringing these strangers around your children in the first place. You don't know, you don't know what they could do. You want to put everybody in a negative light, but to bring that kind of around, a man come for a one night stand, right? Or a woman come for a one night stand, right? Yeah. See, don't just hang around still to see you have children there. Me want to say this could happen, but it has happened. But you wouldn't want that to happen. So it's best to avoid the whole situation and not probably bring it in at your own place where you go and do that. Don't come out and have it near the children. I just doesn't like that, and I had to talk to somebody about doing that. I was like, bruh, that's not right. Don't be doing that. You don't know what these people are capable of. Yeah.
What I think how it is harm children too is the telling the child that is your uncle. Or that is this so and so relative. And then later on, if like you say it's not one night stand, they end up getting together. Now the child confused because wait,
You and
uncle and
together.
mommy, they're not supposed to work that way. Hold on, this is weird. And you
Sweet
end
home.
up confusing each other. I was in a situation like that. It's like, why you telling each other call me uncle? I ain't your uncle. I'm not even related to you. And they don't get that. The women don't get that. It's like, don't tell them that you're uncle. You will confuse each other.
I try not to say women mostly, but it's mostly the women that just do that because they usually have the custody.
I don't know. I would probably say I don't think a man would say that now, but
No, I
would
say
probably involve his children to see that happening.
I say most of the time they had the custody, so they go the one who mostly doing that. And I just think don't be doing these things. Don't be doing anything when around your children that you know can have a negative effect. I want to see it.
And would look at sex as more as an object or just something to do more than a intimate thing that you have with one person that creates a real bond and a friendship.
The thing about childhood is that every kid has a normal one because there's no frame of reference. Everything's relative. So whatever you put into that child's life becomes their normal. Children that are from same-sex households, they have a higher chance of identifying as LGBTQ. And you could claim that this is because they're more accepting and more receptive to that. But I would say that I would point to the generations, that each generation as they got older, the amount of people, the percentage of people that identify as LGBTQ doubles each generation. And some of that can be because of acceptance of society, but I do not believe that it is pure acceptance. There is influence that's happening on our social media, that's happening in media or in the world, but it starts at home. And there is influence in the home that when you see this as normal, it will of course influence your sexuality and how you view these things.
I just want to say quickly that sexuality in the home should be a good role model for your children, should be constructive, it should be loving and not toxic. If a child sees sexuality and sees it as toxic, they may just choose to go the other way.
I'm surprised them like
a lot of gay people have straight parents. A lot of gay parents produce straight kids. So, debunked.
How can they produce?
You just drop the mic, yes? She make those points, but she just drop the mic and walk out.
She just so reluctant to hear anybody else that she point her stands no matter what she says.
I like it. Nah, I appreciate what she just do. Debunk and leave. She'd get up and walk off the stage and I'd be real cool. I like it. I like it.
All his words to say nothing. Yeah, that man had the confidence. I admire that confidence. That girl, that was well. I mean, you're full of shit, but your confidence admirable. Leave some for me now, you.
Nah. You're doing cheating us. Drop that mic.
Oh my god, that's hilarious, dog.
You cannot. If you're straight, that doesn't mean your child is straight. If you're gay, that doesn't mean your child is gay. I want to stand firm on the fact that sexuality is biological. It's not something you can choose. And if it's something you want to explore, that's different from choosing. Exploring is, oh, maybe I'll go see what it's like being with a woman. Oh, that didn't.
Pause. It's always a choice. Again, people don't realize the smallest things they make are a choice. The same way if you're 6 years old and you say, I want to wear a dress, that is a choice. Regardless if you feel to wear it or you feel like you're not in the right body, you are choosing to wear a dress. If you are gay, as in you are interested in men, you can choose to sleep with a woman, right? Or you could choose to continue liking men. It's all about choice. It could, no matter how small and minuscule the choice is, it's still a choice. And a lot of people trying to get away from it being a choice.
I do get, like, for example, right? You could be, you could be straight and not married, or be single for the rest of your life.
That's a choice.
It's a choice. So I don't get anything right.
regardless
Go
of your
ahead.
circumstance. You could have, all right, let me put it this way for you. You could have, let me say you're a woman, right? And you're choosing to be single because the men around you are terrible. That's a choice. You could get married to one of these men, but it's not the best case thing for you. You don't want to end up with a terrible man. Now, same thing if you were gay and you choose to be with a man, then it is a choice. But you could also choose to be with a woman. That's how we friend here get pregnant in the first place. If assuming it was not artificial insemination.
We don't know that.
Right? Assuming it was not artificial insemination or rape. Because it might be on YouTube later, I don't know. Right? It's all a choice. It's all a choice. So to tell me that, okay, I was born this way, it's like, yeah, but you choose to remain that way, and that is something you need to think about.
But I just it's so confusing what you see. Say, all right, it's not choice, but then you're going to say, well, we choose. Like, what? Excuse me, what?
When you say that, go back. I need to hear that.
It's not something you can choose on the fact that sexuality is biological. It's not something you can choose. And if it's something you want to explore, that's different from choosing. Exploring is, oh, maybe I'll go see what it's like being with a woman.
No,
Oh,
she's
that
not
didn't
right.
feel
She's not wrong. Sorry, she's
because
not wrong.
it's biological.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
but, right.
You can't choose. All right, pause.
Right.
You can't choose what body you're born into. You can't choose that. Right? But if you're a woman and you feel like you should have had a male body, you can choose to transition. I am going to transition. What are you transitioning from? A woman. Okay, cool. So you transition to a woman to be a man. Then the opportunity cost of that is you're no longer being a woman. So you choose to have the transition happen into a man.
Right,
you could go ahead and be a woman if you want to, and just not like men. Or you could like men. Or you could like whatever gender you want. You are choosing. Even in experimentation, you are choosing what you want to experiment with.
I'm saying she second point makes sense, but when she starts, you say, oh, it's not choice. When they go on to explain, right, you have to choose and you experiment.
Sexuality is not a choice. Again, you can't choose what body you are born into. That's what she means. At birth, at consumption, you can't choose what body you're gonna develop into. Unless you really could choose it and you just your memory get wiped by some higher power. Who knows? But you can't choose what body you're born into, somebody.
Which I do agree with. I do like that wrong body thing.
You can't choose what. No, think about it. All right. If two people, right?
I know.
Let me say two parents. They want to have a baby, right? They say, like through natural process. I'm not talking about any kind of gene modification or anything. Just natural process. They are very happy with having a girl, right? But they end up getting a boy. They can't choose that. Just like the child who's been born can't choose what body they get in, whether they're male or female. They can't choose. However, your gender is something you could choose. You could not feel like you're now like you're born a girl, but you feel like you shouldn't be a tomboy, and you feel like, all right, I don't feel feminine at all. I should have been a boy. Then you could transition, but you have to make the choice to transition, or the choice to feel like, all right, well, I don't identify as a woman anymore. I identify as a man. It's a choice. So you could choose that, but you can't choose the body you're born into. You understand? Hello? I think I broke him.
I hear you.
I think Senpai still loading.
Yeah, he's still loading.
I hear him. Yes, do I agree?
All right.
Not with the. So, I don't know if we're mixing up sexuality with sex and thing here. Right?
Exactly.
Because
you are. They are. Well, I think you are too. Because like I say, you can't choose what is biologically assigned to you. Whatever the mix and the match happen, you end up being a man. You could have ended up being a girl.
not to that. I just say it. You're saying
physically.
Which is the more talking about sexuality, which is gay, straight, trans, whatever. saying is not true. That she start to say, oh, that is not a choice. That choosing that is not that sexuality thing is not a choice. But she explain, I see second part is explain a correct thing. So which side is you talking about? You say it's not a choice, but then you're saying, all right, you gotta choose.
Okay.
That is why I confused about what she said. I mean confused, I just like, oh, that way though.
Yeah, you're confused. You're confused. That's fine, dog. That's fine. They will assign a gender to you, don't worry. Or you could choose your own gender if you want. Just make something up.
It just, whatever, yes.
2 points, one of which is something that you had said about them only knowing that there's 2 gay parents. And so they relate to that more. In my life, like, yes, there is 2 gay parents, but we also are surrounded by a lot of straight parents and a lot of straight couples. And their friends come over to play and they have a mom and a dad and they come over. So them being only seeing this one thing and then thinking, oh, maybe I'm gay because that's the only thing I know, I don't believe in that.
I don't think that. I just think, what is normal to them? Is it normal for them to have 2 dads? Of course, right? Yeah. Having a mom and a dad, is it
would be
normal?
normal.
It's also normal to see other
but
kids
it's not
with their
normal
mom
from a
and dad too.
societal
I mean, they
standpoint.
see it all the
Oh my
time.
gosh,
And then my second other was just the fact of a choice. I mean, you talked about it. It's definitely not
So
a
much
choice.
water
If I
I'm
had to
drunk.
choose way back when I was 15, 14, thinking, oh gosh, I'm gay, I would not choose.
At least
To
try
have
pussy first,
society
dude.
constantly looking at me, judging me when I'm out to dinner
Pause.
with my 2 girls and people come up.
You have some people that do actually try and say, nah, this is not for me.
No, I didn't say that. How it is now, nobody even try.
You don't know that? You don't know that, us. You in the bedroom
The
with everybody.
statistics saying.
Show me it. Show me it. I'm not afraid to challenge you. Show me it. Show me the statistics that say that nobody is considering taking a woman instead of going straight to taking men. Show me. Or vice versa. You have some women that end up in a situation like, no, this incision thing is
Right,
not for
but
me.
that's a more I'm talking about the more newer gen. The more newer gen just straight up because the influence from especially social media, because that is all the pushing right now.
Really?
A lot of them not just a trans. Why we have so much different
gender is stupid.
gender.
Because gender is stupid. There you go. I'll fix the problem. Next point.
The gosh. Okay, I lost my train of thought. What I was saying.
I mean, you
Sure.
could choose. You could have chosen not to say that, but hey, if you move the goalpost and say that was not choice, that is something I was born into to just respond to everything people say, then hey, you go right ahead, brother.
Right.
You
So
live your truth.
the more new gen saying, yeah, just as one was saying, you go in the classroom and just full of rainbows. It it even have American flag up this. That's every.
Oh, you know that is what the rainbows represent.
Well, the hijack the radio, the Emily radio, the rainbow, and now you can't see a remote thing away, boy. Them gays.
All right, brother.
So it as like as well the putting it on like, oh gosh, what do they call them thing like
Wait, did I
country
just
stages?
assume he was talking about me?
No.
Wow, I am becoming Twitter. Holy shit. My apologies, could be read. But if you are talking about
You're
me,
doing such
no
a
good.
good job. You don't do that to straight parents who are out with their kids. Like, why come up to me?
Yeah, you do.
So I would not have chosen to be gay if I had the choice.
Oh, look,
I am
chosen.
gay. I am happy. My life is amazing, and I wouldn't want
Now
it
we're
any other
telling
way.
the
But
camera.
back then, when I was figuring things out, I
No,
wouldn't
people
have
could
chosen.
generally have good lives, us.
Nah.
They
They
do.
do.
All
They
life
do
must
compliment
suffer.
straight parents
Especially
too.
being a black father, I get it
A
all day
lot.
long.
On the other side of things,
Wait,
I want
what?
to talk about
Life is amazing, and I wouldn't want it any other way. But back then, when I was figuring things out, I wouldn't have chosen it.
I said they do
People tell me that all the
compliment
day.
straight parents
Especially
too.
being a black father, I get it all day
lot.
long.
On the other side of things, I want to talk about this notion of
You
what
in a
is
cheering
normal
life?
influences what you
Hey,
are.
everybody, look this nigga in the
I
cheering
went to an
life.
all-boys school. I'll say this a million times. I went to an all-boys school until I was 15. I did not know what a girl was until I was 15. My parents are heterosexual. They're pretty conservative. They are Christian. Nothing in my environment was saying you need to be a girl. You are queer. You are lesbian, right? That was just always within me, and nothing in my environment pushed me to do that. I think that is just one very clear example that your environment does not make you have a particular sexuality.
Your
or gender.
environment
That is
didn't
just
help
within
you because your parents were
The
conservative. You
way I
couldn't
was
talk to them about it.
parented made me feel safe and seen.
But she run.
She have obviously
My parents
obvious
already knew that
issues.
they were getting into parenting miles behind other people because the world tells them they're going to be this kind of parent simply because they're gay. From what they've told me before I was born, before my brother was born, it was doing all kinds of research on what works for kids, how to raise a girl, what girl puberty is like, all of these things. They made sure that they were super educated
two
so
dads
that
or
the
2
only
months?
reason the world could tell them they were a bad parent is because they
Can't
were gay.
remember.
And that means nothing. That comes down to your own opinion. And so I grew up feeling so safe, so supported. I came to my parents with any question and they always had the answer. And I always knew I could grow up being whatever I wanted to be. And whether that was sexuality, whether that was career-wise, honestly, growing up with 2 dads was really beneficial as a woman because there was nothing impeding on, or there were no boundaries set on what a woman should be or what a woman should act like. It was, no, you go out and your brain is your biggest asset and it's the most beautiful thing about you. Go out and do whatever you want. Women can do whatever men can do. And it was really great, actually, to not have a woman in the household that maybe would have derailed that in some way.
I half agree. I would say I felt safe. I did not particularly feel seen. My parents don't know what being trans is. They don't really understand what being gay was. When I came out to them, they were like, we don't really know what this is, but we love you. And that's what made me feel safe. Even if they don't particularly see me,
This is a
they
trans
came to see me.
person?
And at the end of the day, if they say, I love you and you are welcome here, that's what matters. So for me to be met with love from conservative values was pretty shocking because I just have so much experience of observing media where Christians are always paired with anti-LGBT rhetoric, and conservatism is not compatible with this. But in my own personal life, I've seen the two be completely compatible. You can be conservative and you can be queer. You can be Christian and you can support LGBT people. And that's something I didn't really think was possible, but my parents proved me wrong in that way.
I feel like I grew up with the best parents in the world. They did everything that they could to make me the best person I am today. And there were a lot of times growing up that we were going through really difficult times, but they shielded us from that. There were times that the lights turned off or the heat turned off. And as kids, we don't know what's going on. We just ask, hey, what's going on? Oh, your mom forgot to pay the bill. And all these things were hidden from us until we were way older and we look back at those things and we realize, no, that she didn't forget to pay the bill, or we left the tags on not because they wanted us to choose a different shirt later on. It was because there was serious stuff going on in my family, but they shielded us from that so that we could be kids. And my father, he took me out hunting, took me to my sports, taught me what it was like and how to be a man, how to be a good man, how to treat women. And conversely, my mom taught me how to nurture women and the things that a mother teaches a young son. And I feel like I had the best parents, the best experience, and I can't think of something better.
I feel like you cannot dog it and poor Gilly on this side who very offended and think about she 2 dads or whatever. I don't know, right? Yeah, they are being born in the wrong body is new age trash.
Possibly.
Yes.
I don't think so.
Agree.
Look, Senpai born in our body he didn't want because he wanted to be Mega Man. It was not totally trash.
It's just so weird to me that the whole transgender thing just and they go tell you, oh, you just don't want to understand it. But if you really look at it from a, I want to say my perspective,
Is your perspective the
but
overarching
from
perspective?
a social perspective, I would say it is, where
That's true. That's this perspective. Go ahead.
is you're saying, I find it weird that you, whatever gender you're switching to, you're just basically dwindling down the gender to the clothes you wear, the way you act, the way you talk, the way you walk, and stuff like that. And people, and it is telling people who know that there is biologically this, telling them no. Them in, oh my gosh, just now. They're attacking me.
Yeah. We know.
Right. That, gosh, I was saying that somebody biological, that them experience the invalidity transposing experience, because they say there's the gender that the one biologically is not, right? That the trans, like a trans, it is what to trans woman, trans man.
You on Twitter? What's you supposed to be telling me?
It just complicates to me to remember which one is which. So a trans woman is a man, a woman, right? So we, like for example, when the Dylan movie went and talking about women issues, right? Two men sit down, they talk about women issues like period, pregnancy, and stuff like that. That's weird because you could never go through that.
Wow, so and it's a trans woman and a man. Happy for you, yes. I mean, Twitter police come for you.
So I find it just real invalidating and real misogyny to dwindle, especially with a woman, the dwindling woman to her outfit.
It's so not an issue in the western side of the world alone.
Yeah, it's spreading. It's like a virus.
No, not that it's spreading. How the US portrays it is spreading, but transgender is that people transgender across the world. But it's not as like, oh, let's go protest for this because we being punched down on, and that kind of, those countries kind of conservative still. So even if they do, there's repercussions to doing that. So they can't just like out and stand out. And even in some other countries, it's like we don't care to do what the US is doing. You understand? We just don't care. The US, like the western side of the world, is just like a real unique thing to the rest of the world, and vice versa. So to say it's just a big hullabaloo is on the western side. Everywhere else, they just like, okay, you do it, we'll probably shoot you. You do it, okay, fine, that's all right.
Yeah,
and life goes on.
Yeah,
life goes on.
And it's a little off topic where I was reading something, and I don't know if it was a George Orwell book, a quote from it where it was saying, for the past 3 decades, instead of a progress society, we just find anything to complain about. And this is what this whole issue seemed like to me. We just looking for something to, right, I want this to oppress me today. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not making any progress. Yeah, people are making progress, but it's a kind of guided progress. So in terms of like technology, okay, here's a 8-core CPU. We wouldn't give you a 100-core CPU right now. Give us we just stretch it out like over 15 years so we can make real money. But at the end of the 15 years, you'll get a 100-core CPU. Guaranteed. Consumer level. We're not going to give you that now. So there's no progress happening. So what you say they're looking for, something new to point a finger at and blame, it really hampers progression, I believe. Technology is another thing that I think hampers evolution in a sense. Not progression, but evolution, humanity in a sense, because we're so dependent on machines and technology that we're not bettering ourselves in a sense. But that is a bit of a loose thing
Wally,
to say.
for example.
Who?
Wally.
What you was about again? What the fat people
robots.
on the chair?
Yeah, with
You just fat phobic. Why you had a why?
I wouldn't you bad for because you're thinking that was gonna talk about. I just talk about how to get so
That
dependent
is
on
what you're gonna
technology.
talk about because I know you.
No, I was going to all I was gonna say is that they get so dependent on technology that they couldn't see what was right in front of them all along.
Which is more
a treadmill.
You see? Oh, let's watch this man, boy. Oh, let's watch this man. We'll play a video now, or make a next comment or something like.
My
Jeez.
dad's probably one of the most soft-spoken individuals I've ever met in my entire life, but I remember instances of feeling
But I
safe
look like a
because I would
Gildan
see
t-shirt.
him literally snap to
What?
dad protection mode when it came
look
to
like a Gildan t-shirt.
anyone trying to harm us or my
A
mother or
foot of the
anything like
loom.
that. And as far as being seen,
Probably.
my parents, they
Buy
like
some of those
all of
ones.
our
Gildan
parents, they
white
had the
t-shirts, that way.
expectations we talked about
You
us
can
being successful in our career.
peep,
But I
look.
had so many wants and
It look
desires
kinda
from
tin.
being a
The
teenager,
white
like wanting to be,
especially
oh, I want to
tin.
be a magician, I want to be a skateboarder. Who was buying me
Wanna be
magician
Mega
kits?
Man.
Who was buying me skateboards?
Who's
Like
giving me
I
surgery
had the
for
most
a
supportive, and
blaster?
I guess you can use the word seeing parents that you could ever ask for. And you know, I owe them everything that I am today, the person that I am
I should
today.
make that big hoopla about this. I want to be
My
Mega
parents
Man.
didn't
I
agree
want
with my
a
lifestyle.
plasma
I came out
blaster.
super early. I came out like around 12. And my parents are pastors. But
And the ability to
my
data
mom always
balls.
saw me. And when I asked to dress like a boy in like 5th grade, my dad was super resistant because he kind of knew. Because you know when your kids are gay early on. You just know. And I think inherently they knew I was going to be gay. And my dad was not getting jiggy with it. And my mom was like, let her be her. Let her be her. She'll figure it out. And I lost my dad about 3 months ago. Parents were married 50 years, same household. The best people. I'll give you a run for your money because my parents were pretty great too. In this last birthday, my parents sent me a card. And it was the first time they've ever said anything like this to me, which is like, we accept you. We unapologetically accept
had a
you
gun to
and
the
we
head.
love you. And that meant more to me than anything in the world because I'm 36 years old and finally my mom and dad, and I needed that. And for people that are hearing this, yeah, your kids, no matter how old they get, they need to hear that their parents accept them and validate them. It's important. It does make you feel good. So yeah, my parents are pretty awesome.
I want to start by saying my dad is not the problem. My dad is super supportive. You know, he was invited to my wedding. He walked me down
Wait.
my aisle. You know,
But you're going to say something bad about him.
and my mom wasn't
Hold on.
invited. My mom didn't come to
What?
my wedding. My mom didn't get to do, you know, the normal bridal stuff because she did not
Why?
agree with my lifestyle. But this is
Okay.
by far the happiest that I've ever been, the most headstrong that I have been. And if she can't support that, then I don't want her in my life. And a lot of
That's
my family
difficult.
and friends have been kind of like, finally, you finally cut her out. And
Wow. Okay.
so,
It's that
you know,
bad?
it hurts sometimes, but like also, I'm protecting my kids from that exposure, that
Okay.
hatred, that
Gil.
acceptance that she doesn't have for me. My kids
So
don't
I can
need
remember
that.
that at the end.
It's 2022. My kids are the next
Do you have to do
generation.
anything?
I want them to know nothing but
2022,
acceptance,
dog.
loving, caring people. That's it.
Growing up, you know, I think it was kind of the same way. You know, they didn't tell me a lot in order to protect what I would think about situations. And my dad and I, you know, I've kind of talked about that a little bit, but you know, we didn't have a good relationship just because, you know, we did not connect on any kind of level. But my mom and I really connected, and I felt safe with her up until I came out to her, and it was such a bummer moment because we had such a strong relationship, and I felt her just pull away from me when that happened, and it
It's like,
hurt
oh
me.
shit,
And we
I fucked
didn't
up.
talk for a little while, and she said she supported me, but her words were not matching with her actions.
Should I pull out?
And especially the past couple years with what's been going on in the world and politics and all of that, it seems like we're even getting further and further apart. And it breaks my heart and it's sad. And you know, I want to go back to when I was 10 and rekindle that relationship. And now that I have a family and kids and all
Stop like
my
man.
family is just so important to me that if she doesn't want to be on board and if she doesn't believe in the beliefs that I have, You know, like I'm not going to go out of my
Pause.
way to try to.
Would it? If I was any point, I have a question for him. Does he think it would have been different if he had connected? He would have been different if he had connected with his father and his mother didn't console him that much.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Maybe he would have been straight? Because even before he was in the last point, he was saying, he wish he could have gone back to that day, and if he would have understood what he was getting into, I think, I don't want to put words in his mouth. If he understood what he was getting into, he would not have chosen to be gay. So my question is, if he had that better relationship or good relationship with his father, sorry, and his mother didn't soften him up. It sounded like that's what she was doing when she pulled away. If he would have been straight, there's people say probably, well, there's no correlation because I'm just asking a question. There's no motive or ulterior motive or purpose behind just asking that question, because it's a variable that I seen it as a variable, and I need to, put something at the other end of the equal sign. That's just my question.
Fair point.
Convince you.
That point
if
is
you're
a
already set in
question.
ways. And
Stop trying to make them.
it's sad,
Stop trying to
but
make them
it's
attack.
something that has to happen.
Yeah, Brittany. I see you, girl. Yeah, like I said before, I didn't have a safe relationship with my mom or my dad. So I did seek some good modeling. I saw some good modeling with my friends.
You ever see the Katara meme?
Katara.
From
Avatar?
The Last Airbender? Yeah.
With?
Like every time somebody says something, she's always had to bring up her mother now, but her mother passed away. So in every meme she's bringing up her mother. She's touching necklace she have, the betrothal necklace she have, and always saying, well, my mother this and my mother that. It's like, that is what the vibe I get from this woman. That's it's funny, but I mean, my apologies.
And their families. And actually, the first time I ever saw somebody say "I love you" was at a friend's house in like 6th or 7th grade, and I saw her mom say "I love you," and I thought, "What? They say I love you?" And then she would sit on her mom's lap, and they would hold hands, and I thought, "Oh my God,
weird, huh?
What are they doing?"
Yeah.
I thought it was so bizarre. Okay, I have the opposite relationship with my daughter. We're very loving, very open, very tender.
No,
but honestly,
the problem with that is
and
you
the
could
relation-
overdo it.
Mm-hmm.
You could overdo it.
And
So
because
a lot of people, they don't have something, or they get too much of something growing up, and they try to the full on opposite with their children. So they didn't have this, they didn't have that. They try to give the child everything, whereas they had everything. Actually, that don't really happen when they have everything. I think they just pass off the wealth, however. But typically, when
they
you
kind of lead them on
don't
their
have,
own, but
could be, but typically when you do have, I hear people talking like, I go and give my child everything, and they do, they do, but that's not necessarily, or they didn't have the protections that they wanted when they were younger, so they was exposed to certain things growing up, and they emulating that with the child now, where they're being overprotective, and overprotection is not a good thing either.
So you had to get the right amount.
It's a balance. It's always a balance.
And that I think, to me, as you say that, I think that's the whole point a lot of them are trying to make. That with especially the question with the...
Oh, no, I'm not invalidating anybody's experiences if they are 2 moms and 2 dads, brother. I never said that. I'm trying to get people to attack me now, boy.
Oh my gosh. I was just saying, that's basically the point I was making. That, hey, you need a balance. There's a balance you need. You see why... balance? A mom and a dad.
I never said that. I was talking
I'm not saying
about
you say that. I just say I never say that. Oh gosh.
That's what I was talking about.
Oh gosh.
And I get them to attack my dog.
Oh gosh.
Move on now. Jesus.
Oh gosh.
Why do you
deserve this? I emotional about it, man. Oh gosh.
I like one Twitter, boy. Well, I want Twitter, but I don't use it, Jed.
You see, I forget what I was saying. Right, the balance, right? I always say, just the balance. That way, Cry, you'll hear when even talking about it up, you start to cry. She had a ballad, she overly aggressive.
Relationship
Wouldn't you say
I
she's
told you it's
overly
mended
emotional too?
with my parents, but honestly, they're still broken. Everybody's still broken. We're all broken. What mended me the most was, I'll say it again, is having the relationship with my true father. That's what mended me the most out of anything that's ever happened. And I've gone to therapy, I've gone to psychics, I've gone to everybody, and I've done everything
What's
you can possibly
religious?
think of to heal from the traumas, and nothing healed me like the relationship with
But did she go to
Jesus that I have.
Kathmandu
And that love and that security and
and
that
meet with the
tenderness
ancient
is
one to learn magic?
that's in that safe space. That's the most safe you'll ever feel, because nothing that anybody
You
else
like that
on the
link?
planet says can matter to you when you know who you are from the Creator. 100%. Anybody can throw a stick and a stone at me. None of it matters when you know who you belong to. And so
Oh gosh, I was
that's
going
what
to go
I've
off topic.
conveyed
Let
now
me
to
video
my
finish first.
child, that no matter what is on the outside, no matter how much pain each of our families brings to us or our external circumstances bring to us, none of it's going to shake us because we know who we are.
It's kind of hard because I don't know what it's like to be a single black mother, you know, and the struggles that come from it. You know, my dad, I have a good relationship with him. The blessing that I have of not being seen and not feeling loved is that I got to watch. So being alone, you know, the only child, being alone, I got to see certain behaviors, and you know, I have relatives that do drugs. I'm 33. I've never smoked or drank a day in my life. You know, I've never done, you know, a lot of
Hey, let's
things,
go.
and it's because
Same.
God
Yeah.
put a hedge around me and a protection around me to be able to watch. I understood at a very young age what love was because I wasn't getting love. So I knew when I had my children, I knew exactly what to do. I understand that, you know, there's mental health, there's trauma, there's a lot of things that are out there that people
the word
suffer
trauma.
with. How do you not know how to love your child? It's especially as a black man being a father. Real quick, one time me and my daughter, we were at a restaurant and I was getting her some food, and this black guy is sitting at the table, and he's like watching me and my daughter, and I'm like, you know, protection mode.
Oh.
Like, why are you staring at my daughter and she's wearing
Thought he
this
blind.
dress? You know, I'm just
He
like
didn't
freaking
know.
out, right? So I pay for the food, turn around, he's behind me. And he's like, I just want to tell you thank you. And I'm like, what's up? He's like, dude, I've been sitting here for 3 hours waiting for my baby mom to bring my daughter here. I haven't seen her in months. And he was like, and then like a tear came down. He's like, I finally got to see what I want. So, you know, to not have that, my
What?
mom, she did the best she could. I love
I'm
my mother.
confused.
Haven't
Is he
spoke to my mom
blind
in
or is he
3
not
years.
blind?
I'm freaking out, right? You know, protection guy, this black guy is sitting at the table.
Blind.
And he's like watching me and my daughter. And I'm like,
Funny closed caption. Go
protection
back
mode,
and funny closed
why are
caption.
you staring at my restaurant? And I was getting her some food, and this black guy is sitting at the table.
Oh, black
And
guy.
he's like watching me and my daughter, and I'm like, you know, protection mode. Like, why are you staring at my daughter and she's wearing this dress? You know, I'm just like freaking out, right? So I pay for the food, turn around, he's behind me. And he's like, I just want to tell you thank you. And I'm like, what's up? He's like, dude, I've been sitting here for 3 hours waiting for my baby mom to bring my daughter here. I haven't seen her in months. And he was like, and then like a tear came down. He's like, I finally
Okay.
got to see what I want.
Okay.
So,
Okay,
you know,
makes
to
more
not
sense.
have that, my mom, she did the best she could. I love my mother. Haven't spoke to my mom in 3 years. My wife hasn't spoke to her family in 6. And it's because of the protection and the love that we have in our home, that it's like, hey, you're not gonna come to my house and talk about my daughter because she has mixed hair and you want me to put a perm in her hair because you don't like how curly it is. No, you
Yeah,
know,
that
I
people
don't
just
care
do
if
that
I
shit.
never
Like.
see you again. It's about my family. So the cutting off, I'm 100% with you. But the not being seen and not having that love, the providing was there, but just not having that
Celestial
love,
music.
I feel like I took it in as
Yeah.
kind
My
of a
business
blessing.
didn't
'cause
create
it's
any music
there,
for this.
but just not having that love, I feel like I took it in as kind of a blessing because now I get to love my kids. Like,
Good job, everybody.
Woo! Yeah. So people with autism fall in love.
Yeah, that's a new one. Come out today, I think.
Should I want Caribbean people versus American people? Message them there. Message them. Because you're on Twitter.